It's the 14th of February 2024. Yes, it's Valentine's Day and I'm clad in red. Welcome to the AM Show. My name is Sweetie Abochi. On today's edition of the show, in a moment, I'll be serving you the news and then we'll get into the news review. But today, political scientist and director of Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asasante, will be our guest. After that, we'll get into AM Sports, where Muftar Nabila Abdullahi will present his segment. Now, what are we doing in the big stories today? Today, we host Member of Parliament for North Tongu, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa. The conversation will focus on Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's speech, why the former President Mahama is the best bet for Ghana, and why he's helping his constituents who were victims of the Akosomo Dam spillage. We've got all that on our table today. We've also got our tabs on the Save Ghana football demonstration. You know, a group of journalists and other Ghanaians are asking the Ghana Football Association to do what's right by making Ghana football better than it is now. I'll be out there on the field today to see where the demonstration is going and bring you all the details and updates. We've also got AM Business, courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. You know, Ghana's fintech industry has enormous potential to be a major contributor to the country's GDP. Now, in spite of the enviable feat attained in Ghana's drive to a cashless economy, stakeholders within the sector want more investment to expand operations within the space. All that coming up in AM Business. And then you open the phone lines for you to have your say. What's happening today? How are you celebrating on Valentine's Day? Are you expecting gifts? Are you giving out gifts? I'm expecting chocolates, so you can send me chocolates today. You know, I'm here. I'll join you. All right, so now, later on in the show, NDC minority on, we'll talk about NDC minority on taxes. Welcome to the AM Show. It's time now for the news. Let's settle for that. This is the AM News on the AM Show with me, Sweetie Abochi. Let's get into the details. Now, it was a bold declaration from a sitting Vice President and Chairman of the Economic Management Team, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to abolish a raft of taxes introduced by his government under his watch if elected president. While NPP minority in Parliament is set to test sincerity of his intention by presenting a private member's bill in the House to abolish the taxes. This, according to the minority leader, Dr. Kasiel Atoforson, is to test whether the Vice President can get his NPP side to back such a bill. He spoke on PM Express with Evans Mensah.
This Vice President, we all know, today, second in command in the President Akufo-Addo's government. Second in command. He acts as president when the president is out of the country. He is the leader of the NPP, the ruling party. If he so desires and want this bill, this tax removed, he should do it now.
He still hasn't
to prove to the people of Ghana that the leader of the NPP, the governing NPP party,
the party is not a government.
Oh, the leader, the governing NPP party.
The executive president takes.
Let me tell you.
The final decision.
Let me tell you.
He is not.
He cannot hoodwink the people of Ghana on the back of his stories. We've had enough. We've had enough of this. And in the coming days, I'll tell you what we are going to do. We will get someone, probably to bring a private member's bill to get these taxes removed and see if the MPP will support it.
Which of them? Let's list them. E-levy?
A number of the taxes, emission levy that we voted for, and some of the VAT, the betting tax and all of that. And so we should remove the tax on betting and allow the betting industry and find better ways. If you want to regulate it as such.
I'm curious about this announcement you've made about your plan to have the bills repealed.
Yes.
I mean, because it's currently law which is being implemented. Why now?
Okay, so the Vice President has signaled to us that they don't want these taxes. That's what he said. And we saw their MPs in favor of these taxes, in favor of the Vice President position. We heard them. We saw some of them. So we want to test whether it is genuine. And so we'll bring the bill before Parliament and we'll get them to vote for or vote against it, and we'll see how it works.
But he says we'll do it next year.
Why next year? Let me tell you, Evans, the people of Ghana cannot wait and go through this kind of excruciating hardships. We are suffering. I come from a rural community. My constituents are struggling. They are going through difficult times on the back of some of these taxes. Remove the betting tax now. Remove the emission levy now. Remove the e-levy now. Now, e-levy. Even if you send 50 Ghana cedis, they will deduct it. Even if you transfer money from your own wallet to another wallet of yours, they will deduct it. Contrary to what the law is saying, contrary to the MPP's own, promise to the people of Ghana. They should remove it now.
The Electricity Company of Ghana has attributed recent power cuts in the Ashanti region to what it terms the restoration of redundancies in the power distribution. Parts of the region have in the past few days experienced intermittent power outages, with some areas plunged into darkness for nearly 12 hours. This situation is adversely impacting some businesses and livelihoods. But the Ashanti South Business Unit of the ECG is assuring the country is not back to heavy load shedding. Nana Bwachi Yadom has more in the following report.
Since Friday, major parts of the Ashanti region, especially the regional capital, Kumasi, have been experiencing intermittent power cuts. The development over the weekend left some residents perturbed. Some residents who spoke to Joy News expressed their worry about the intermittent power cuts and its impact on their businesses.
It has been worse. It has been worse for me, especially my work, because I do put my things in the fridge before I realize it will get spoiled. So the doing so is not easy for us these days, especially those who are sewing the same dresses. They are also suffering a lot. My fish, my sausage, my stew, and my vegetables, because the heat, they cannot contain it. Especially this month, it has been worse. The whole of this week, it's continuous. Even this pastor who is preaching over there, since last week, has not been able to preach because of light out. He will come and go back. He will be here about 5:30. They will not be able to preach. He will pack his speakers and go out.
Basa na ejina basa because kana na area bibia. They say when now so bona you do light. And no say me say nka me yi matare meto.
The recent power cut has been affecting my business. I could not even open my shop due to the power cut yesterday. Government must do something about this.
Na eya we nti na me kaka no yadwumem say no say yadwumem mambie na show ha ta me adwuma no mentimi ntrase nti dum so de ha kakra
93 days me ne me mani nyina sam fom e wa abonte na tontomo wiyen omudum light 12 o'clock 93 days o man so amade a chewe.
3 days ago, I slept without light. My children and I slept outside our house. The issue is worrying. We do not know why we have to sleep in darkness without any notice. Government must sit up. But the Ashanti South ECG General Manager, Engineer Frederick Kwabena says the issues are internal and not from Gridco or their power generators.
But then again, we would also want to disabuse everybody's minds of the fact that these are not issues that are coming from either Gridco or any generational shortfall. These are internal ECG issues that are duly being responded to. You may not have received a statement from us, primarily because as engineers, we sometimes want to solve the problem first before we go out there talking, because it's our responsibility. Because in the heat of the moment, the main thing is that you have to restore power to your cherished customers or manage the situation that you find yourself.
The company says it is putting in place measures to ensure stable electricity. However, it will take time.
You know, so it was quite an unpleasant situation for us, managing a situation like that. But cable faults do happen. There are ambient conditions that may happen, even heat, because they are buried in the ground. Even heat can cause all of these things. Ingress of moisture can, affect that. And most of these cables also have had some joints that haven't already been prepared some time past that could also affect in the event that now the temperature is quite high. So the temperature is quite high, and it means that there's a lot of cooling effect from our ACs and all that. It means power consumption or the capacity has also gone up. All of these things can cause a lot of a lot of damages within the system. So he would continue with that. We may come back to the way forward and all that, and we'll see how best we can attempt to solve the situation.
For Joe News, Nana Boache Dankwa Yadom, Kumasi.
Let me take you now to Tamale, where President Nana Akufo-Addo has called on newly sworn-in assembly members of the Tamale Metro Assembly to help change the perception where citizens continue to view Accra as the primary destination for resolving their issues. He mentioned that the instinct of the ordinary citizen still leans towards seeking solutions in Accra for matters that should ideally be addressed at the local assembly. The president made these remarks in a speech read on his behalf by the Northern Regional Representative of the Council of State, Zunglana Mohammed Tahiru, during the inauguration of the 9th Tamale Metro Assembly.
59 members were sworn into office, comprising 41 elected and 18 government appointees. The assembly members then elected assembly member for the Dakwema electoral area, Fuseni Okasha, as the presiding member. He pulled 53 out of the votes cast. The Zonglana Mahmudu Tahiru said the assembly members are expected to help deepen the local governance system.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Constitution spells out the process through which we should decentralize governance in the local level. After 3 decades of its propagation, this remains very much a work in progress. The instinct of the average citizen is still to look towards Accra or their member of parliament for things that fall within the remit of the district assembly. I am expecting that you will be part of the team that finally change the status quo and deepen the local governance and decentralization to enable the citizens have access to basic public services in their district rather than demanding for such services from Accra.
The mayor of Tamale, Sule Salifu, said with the caliber of assembly members elected, he was confident of the wealth of diverse ideas they will bring to bear.
Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, this occasion marks a new chapter in our city's history as we come together to celebrate the birth of the 9th Assembly of the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly that is to be inaugurated today, and which is a formidable one because it is characterized by representatives from all walks of life, from different backgrounds, professions, and perspectives across. This kind of diversity will fuel our strength as we tap into the wealth of ideas, talents, experience that each one of them will bring to the table.
Now, the World Health Organization is blaming the alarming rates of maternal mental health disorders in Ghana on the lack of policies to protect such vulnerable groups. This comes on the heels of a study by the WHO, which indicates that about 50 to 57% of pregnant women and mothers in Ghana experience clinical depression during and after childbirth. 13% of this figure who experience severe depression end up committing suicide. Rejoice Semefakpesu has more in the following report.
About 10% of pregnant women and 13% of women who have just given birth experience some form of mental disorder, primarily due to depression. Some of these mothers are compelled to commit suicide in severe cases. According to the World Health Organization, about 50 to 57% of women in Ghana suffer from maternal mental health issues, with depression being the most common case. Lead consultant for the World Health Organization on Maternal Health Dissemination Project, Dr. Promise Sefoga, attributed the prevalence of the disorder due to a lack of screening and policy.
So when a woman is pregnant, her body produces a lot of hormones that help her to go through the stress of pregnancy. Two of them we call estrogen and progesterone. So these hormones help to stimulate what we call feel-good factors in the woman so that she's okay to cope with the stress of pregnancy. After delivery, when the placenta comes out, the estrogen and the progesterone levels drop. But it's the same time that new baby stresses come up. So the woman who is predisposed begin to suffer anxiety, what we call postpartum blues, what we call perinatal depression, where she feels low in energy, unhappy. And the most severe form is what we call postpartum psychosis. Some of them get so severely depressed that they commit suicide. Suicide is just a sign of severe depression. In the very severe cases of postpartum psychosis, the woman feels that there is something about to happen to my baby, which is more terrible than the baby dying. And as a result of that sensation, they kill the baby. Unfortunately, our health system does not have provisions for screening. So from what I've said, these disorders can happen to anybody. What is needed is for us to pick it up early or pick the warning signs. Then we do very little to avert major complications. And that is what is lacking. In Ghana, for now, we do not do routine screening for pregnant women. As we speak, we have reviewed all the maternal and child health related policies by the Ministry of Health and the Ghana Health Service, and including the Mental Health Act of 2012. There are no provisions for maternal mental health. There is none. And so we are emphasizing the call. Fortunately, the minister has accepted the call and said the ministry is going to take that up. So there is no policy, which is why the starting point is to have a national policy that mandates the inclusion of mental health coverage for all pregnant and postpartum mothers in order to optimize their well-being and that of their newborns and children.
Speaking at the ceremony in Accra, the Minister for Health, Kweku Agyemang-Manu, said the government considered the issues a serious one and is considering drafting a policy that will provide a safety net for mothers struggling with maternal depression.
Maternal mental health issues can have significant implications for maternal and child health outcomes. To address these challenges holistically and globally, the WHO member states adopted and committed to meeting global targets of the Comprehensive Mental Health Action Plan 2013 to 2030 for improved mental health services to the people. Through this initiative, the government of Ghana has made several efforts to ensure the provision of high-quality mental health services to the population. And some of these include the Mental Health Act 2012, Act 846, and the Mental Health Policy 2019, provide the policy and legal framework for deliberate actions within the landscape. I wish to assure you that the Ministry of Health will provide the necessary leadership and direction to ensure the full implementation of the recommendations of this report. Strengthening mental health system and ensuring that women have access to the support and care they need during pregnancy and postpartum period is a collective effort that requires all levels of society to provide high-quality, sustainable maternal mental health services. This is achievable with the right political commitments, the right systems and structures, development partner support, and citizens' involvement.
In severe cases of maternal mental health, some women end the lives of their babies. The growth, physically and mentally, of very young infants is likely to be affected by the actions of mothers with mental disorders. Prolonged or severe mental illness hampers the mother-infant attachment, breastfeeding, and infant care. Rejoice Semefak-Pesu's report, read to you.
Now, the chief of Bechile in the Kponkatamanso municipality, Nitei Kojo Amankwa Sune I, has appealed to the central government to hasten with plans to fix their wobbly roads. According to him, the wobbly roads in Bechile have caused deaths and serious health problems for his people. He said several pleas to get the government to construct the roads yielded no results, making life unbearable for inhabitants of the area. during the 2023 non-denominational annual Thanksgiving service at Gbechile. Niamankwa highlighted the negative impact the deplorable roads have had on the community. Nesta Kafui Ajoma has more from Gbechile.
The Gbechile annual Thanksgiving service was organized by the Gbechile Divisional Council in collaboration with Gbechile Council of Churches to appreciate God for his protection and provision during the previous year. It was also a forum to mobilize funds to construct classrooms for the existing public schools and further establish other public schools in suburbs such as Samko and Pure Oil. Niamankwa expressed an outright displeasure with the response from government towards the construction of Gbechile roads, although he believes they will be fixed someday.
Shaping the roads and constructing roads is capital intensive, which the school alone cannot do it. For this reason, we lobbied and we went so far to the government for help. But whatever we hear all the time is that it is in the budget, and very soon they will come to our aid. On this very note, I am taking it so seriously, appealing to the government that our oldies are dying due to the fact that whenever they are sick and they are being rushed to the various hospitals, they cannot reach there in time, and sudden death normally occurs. The same applies to the unborn babies. So many miscarriages due to the fact that when our parents are in labor, they cannot get to the hospitals in time. And for that reason, so many miscarriages. We are at the mercy of the weather. During the dry season, dust all over due to our deplorable state of our roads. When it comes to rainy season, don't talk about it at all because it's terrible. And this is all affecting health issues to mankind, especially my community, Gbechile.
Niamankwa encouraged the people of Gbechile to rally behind him so that they could construct the wobbly roads.
If we can gather here in one unity for a purpose, taking education into consideration, then why can't we now stop waiting for the government and come together and see how best we can take the bull by the horn and start doing something for ourselves so that this state in which we find ourselves, and all the time we are complaining, we can start tackling it from the primary root. And I hope next year when we come here, we will not talk about any deplorable states of our rules anymore. I will say that with unity, we have done a lot.
The chief of Gbechile called on all who care to rescue the perishing.
Our politicians here, assemblymen, municipal, to the highest level, Gbechile community is appealing to you to come to our aid, for we are suffering. If it happens that you may not come, we will not be in the houses, but I will come there so that you see that we are really, really suffering. We know you can heed to our appeal, but to act to win, because we are definitely suffering. Please rescue the perishing right now.
Traditional authorities, politicians, the clergy and their congregations, as well as individuals in and around Gbechile attended the 2023 annual Thanksgiving service. Nesta Kafui Ajoma reporting for Joy News.
The Deputy Lands and Natural Resources Minister, George Mirekuduka, says government is putting measures in place to develop mining towns in the country. Speaking on the sidelines of an event to outline the NPP flag bearer Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's vision for the mining sector, Mirekuduka explained that the Minerals Income Investment Fund has specifically been set up to ensure the economic benefit these towns bring to the country.
Build our projects that will in the future say that yes, the goal that we had in Takwa, the goal that we had in Obuasi, what did we use the proceeds for? So the Minerals Income Investment Fund, for example, is to build a museum, a mining museum in Takwa. that is going to be a very important edifice that people can point to. They are also trying to have some roads fixed for the people of Obuasi and Tarkwa. So in future we can say, yes, this road was built by Minerals Income Investment, built by the royalties that we had from gold production. So it's important, but it's answering. The Minerals Income Investment Fund is seeking to answer the question of what do we have to show after the mining period. So we have to have something we call a bench that will seek to address that question. That yes, at the end of the day, we have been able to build so much. Goldfields has built a stadium for Tarkwa. Goldfields has employed few residents of Tarkwa. They've constructed roads for Tarkwa. I mean, Bogoso Junction to Damai. These are examples we would want to see as Ghanaians. That we get to a mining community, we must be excited that yes, we've gotten to a mining community. That's the future of this country.
And that's it for AM News on the AM Show. But stay with us from now to 10 a.m. We're bringing you lots of conversations, starting with a news review with Dr. Asasante and Benjamin Akakpo. Keep watching.
Welcome back on the AM Show. Time now for us to make the most of the news as far as the newspapers are concerned. But right before I introduce my guest joining me, we know that this segment is brought to us always courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Now, they remain focused on offering you, if you're a man, prostate screening for free, and if you're a woman, fertility screening for free. And here's where you can locate them. Here in Accra, they can be found at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Then there's Kumasi Kronumabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's also Takra Dianaji State. There's Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiamanzima. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Leading us or ushering us into the news review. And today being a Wednesday, I am joined by Dr. Kwame Asasante. He is a political scientist. He also is director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Doc, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ben. How are you, my brother?
I am well. Happy Valentine's Day to you.
Yes. I wish you the same.
All right. And it's the day of love across the world. Of course, some people do things that go beyond what is expected. But it's a simple day of expressing love for everybody, from family to those special people, even to enemies. After all, that's what Jesus taught us. Love your enemies. I don't know whether you have any thoughts on Ghana and the way things are going. One thing that has come up on Valentine's Day is that there are a lot of scams. Now, so a lot of people too are using criminal means of fleecing people, making money off them. So a typical example is someone advertises something. It's a package for Valentine's Day. You try and get it for your loved one. And once you pay, you make the payment with Momo, you'll not hear anything again. So there's a lot of fraudulent activity going there. The Cybersecurity Authority alerted us to some of those. So let's all beware and not get fleeced, conned out of our money. I don't know whether you have any thoughts on that, but if you do, you could share that and then zoom into your about 2 minutes that we give you every time on the show so that you can talk about something topical that you'd like to share. And let me also mention to our audience, our viewers, that today Doc has had challenges with Zoom, so we're going to have him. We have him on phone, in fact. All right, over to you, Doc.
Yes, a quick one. Yes, I want to wish everybody Valentine, and my hope and prayer that people celebrate it in modest and then make sure that they free themselves from any trouble that accompanies the celebration of this all-important day. And I want to extend all greetings to everybody on this day.
Right.
Let us celebrate it without leaving our work. We should go to work and work the way we do all the time. I will zoom on straight away to, I think, Dr. Baumia's speech. Since then, we haven't met. And this is the first time that we are meeting after the Vice President delivered his speech. There are things that I want to point out and then share with the public. As you and I went through the speech, he kept saying that he's being a driver's mate and is not the one behind the steering wheel. He's just an advisor to government in terms of economic issues. He was assigned specific duty of digitization and the rest of them. And then he also recounted all the effort they've made and achievements they've made, particularly what he has achieved in the area of digitization and all that. Brilliant, good idea. But what I want to bring to the fore is that my vice president, your vice president, cannot take himself out of the blame that accompany the poor governance that we are receiving in this country at the moment. Once he takes the praises, he must also equally share the blame, right? Because if you look at our constitutional architecture, the running mate ticket is tied to that of the president. So anytime the president is elected, you have indirectly elected the vice president. So, and that is why as soon as the president ceases to exist, or the president for one reason or the other cannot continue his office in terms of his work, the vice president steps in as the next president and all that. That tells you that the two work together and that the blame, if there is any praise, it goes to the two. And so is what any blame they share together. So that statement that he is a driver's mate and all that, in the first place, that analogy is not correct. Because in this context, one would have even wanted, would have loved to see an analogy in the direction that, yes, this is another spare driver. Because as soon as the driver is unable to continue, then he takes over. Right? But that aside, the real issue is that the vice president, whether he likes it or not, is part of the, the ticket, and that he takes full responsibility for whatever has happened. He can't run away from it. He's quick to accept, praises, but why is he running away from blame when we are talking about what, problems of the government? Let me also walk our listeners through something briefly. That if you look at, vice presidential role all over the world relative to either it's a presidential system or a hybrid. And let us remember that our system is a hybrid, a combination of the American system and that of what? The British system. If you look at it, there are certain basic responsibilities or considerations in selecting the vice president. One is that he is a presidential advisor. Advisor in the sense that the vice president, they look for somebody who has something that is a weakness for the president, so that he comes to augment the effort of the president. And that is why the president has said time and again that Dr. Bawumia is the economic, whiskey and whatever. He is the new Adam Smith in Ghana, if you like, right? And that cannot be taken away from him. And we have seen that. And he also has demonstrated that, yes, he gives a lot of economic advice and all that. Another point worth noting is that the vice president is the governing partner of the president. And if you are a governing partner, you are governing with the president. I mean, people should read the literature about vice presidential faith. So once you are a governing partner, whenever there are praises, you share and equally say with the word. And then he represents the president when the president is not opposed or is absent from his duty. The Vice President represents them. So when you look at this, against the fact that he also provides capacity for government, in all these things, you realize that the Vice President has played this role very well, and he has played advisory role in terms of economic advice. Look at his duty as what? Head of economic management team, and all the praises he has received from Mr. Yausafu Malpo, the public, and the rest of them. With all these things put together, I am not sure my Vice President, your Vice President, can say that, look, I'm just a driver's mate. He is not. He must be bold and accept blame where blame are. And then he can also credit himself for the good work that he has done. But once you do away with it, then I'm afraid you are in a different realm. And that is why attacks, criticisms come in. Going forward, I'm sure the party, the Vice President, and the whole MPP fraternity will learn from this, so that whenever there is a problem, then you advise, and your advice is not heeded to. All that you need to do is to vote with your feet, resign. Otherwise, one day, when it comes to accountability, you also have a role to play. You need to render. You cannot stay away. That is my message for this morning.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, for those thoughts, reflections on the Vice President's plan for Ghana and your reflections on the same. Let's get into the papers very quickly. The Ghanaian Times this morning. EP Varsity faces imminent closure over failure to pay tax. Church appeals to government to intervene. Then financial innovations, digital technologies important for climate change combat. That's according to the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. PAC threatens to block budget allocations to SIGA. If what? I'll bring you details of that story. The Public Accounts Committee. And Ghana set to host 13th Africa Games 2023 as President inaugurates Bortiman Sports Complex to mark 25-day countdown to the Games. This issue has been mired in a lot of some controversy, but we'll see ahead of those games how truly prepared we are for them. Ghana set to host the games, as I mentioned, and then AFCON 2023 facts and figures. Well, let's get into the major stories. So I'm going to start off from page 4 and then head to page 16. PAC threatens to block budget allocations or budgetary allocations to SIGA if. So the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament has threatened to block all budgetary allocation to the State Interest and Governance Authority if it fails to recover 747,298 cedis and 93 pesewas in debt. Now, the amount constitutes defaulted rent receivables expected from 2019 to 2020 to be paid by 4 institutions, namely the Ministry of Energy, the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, Ghana Employers Association, and the Ghana Heavy Equipment Limited. Now, per the 2022 Auditor General's report, failure on the part of SIGA to institute appropriate debt recovery plans contributed to the poor recovery of the debt. It said the action of SIGA was in contravention of Section 91 of the Public Financial Management Act 2016, that is Act 921, which provides that the Board of Directors of a public corporation should ensure the efficient management of the financial resources of the public corporation, including the collection and receipt of money due to that public corporation. And so that is the threat from the PAC, the Public Accounts Committee. Unless you retrieve this money, we're going to block your budgetary allocation. I'm fully in support of PAC on this matter, but that is what I personally think. Let me go to page 8 before we do the sporting story. So on page 8, the Evangelical Presbyterian Church Ghana has appealed to the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to intervene in the impasse between the EP University College and the Ghana Revenue Authority to save the college from imminent collapse. According to the church, the University College was constrained in honoring its tax obligations due to a number of challenges it was going through, and it would be grateful if the President could intervene on their behalf to forestall threats of closure by the GRA. And of course, you would it's a step that has been taken, but you would ask yourself, this is a tax issue. So if the president were to intervene, what would it mean then for other groupings, maybe church groupings as well, who would feel, oh, but we have this issue. Mr. President, can you intervene? So I guess it's a pretty dicey situation. Maybe you can share your thoughts on that before I go to the sporting situation. Doc.
I'll start with the tax issue. Why are they asking the president to intervene? They should allow the president to do his work. If you have tax that you need to honor, you have to do that. The president doesn't come in. That is what we call in political science the extractive capacity of the state, where the state generates revenue to run its own affairs. And if the state is doing this to raise revenue to run its own affairs, you're asking the president, who is in charge of all business in this official business in this country, to come in to do what? They should honor their tax application. Wherever they find the money, they should find that and leave Mr. President alone. The issue, the second one, tax issue. The same way that you supported the effort by PAC, I also support them and commend them. It's a cause worth commending, right? That is what we expect from our MPs. Part of their responsibility is the supervisory role over the executive and other institutions so that they live up to expectation. And I am happy that we are getting this signal right now. It's my hope and prayer that this tempo can be sustained so that we do the right thing at all times. But I want to say that, look, people should have that sense of responsibility, that if money belongs to an institution or the state, let them take it as their own and see whether in their own business they will allow that money to slip by them, or they will allow it to slip through their fingers without any effort at collecting them. So on this call, I commend PAC and I'm with them. I support them fully.
Right. So let's quickly get into some other stories now, and we'll head into the Daily Guide newspaper. NACOC seizes 4,734 kilograms of tramadol. We'll look at that. Genza donates block to JWS, and then ministerial reshuffle. Oforiata Ajimamenu Ambrose Derry out, and that is the story there. Ken Sly in mini brawl in Parliament, and that was an incident yesterday. We got some footage from there. There was something that went on to the point where Sylvester Tete would go out and, would be ushered out of Parliament by the Deputy Majority Leader, Afenyo Markin. Yet, Kennedy Japan would follow him and, all the while talking, at a point beating his chest and everything. Then later we'll see footage. The media wasn't allowed in, but obviously there had been some closure, whatever it may be, brought to it with the two of them laughing in a certain office in Parliament. And people have asked whether it was just cosmetic, because a short while before that, it appeared to be very ferocious. And those are the scenes you're seeing now in your shot. And so that's it. That's Kennedy Japan in there, visibly peeved by something that had happened, which led to that altercation. But then later, we would see the video where they patch up, they are laughing, they are smiling, and it appeared that they had set their differences aside. So let's quickly get into the Daily Guide newspaper. I'll do those major stories on page 3 and then look at page 6. Or maybe let me just start with page 6. So the Narcotics Control Commission has intercepted several capsules and tablets of tramadol at the Tema port. The exercise, which took place on Monday, January the 29th, 2024, resulted in the confiscation of a total of 1,035,000 tablets and capsules of tramadol. The capsules and tablets had a net weight of 4,734.38 kilograms, according to the Public Affairs Department of the Commission. And that's it. It was discovered that the varieties of tramadol capsules and tablets included 5,000 royal tablets amounting to 51 cartons weighing 225 mg or milligrams, 6,000 capsules of Timacaine totaling 90 cartons weighing 120 milligrams, and 6,000 capsules of Trafradol, totaling 40 cartons weighing 120 milligrams. A release by the commission actually stated. You know why this is worrying? Because a lot of the time, even with those engaged in galamsey, you would find them mixing tramadol with so many other concoctions, and they are literally killing themselves. Over time, in the next few years, they'll become a burden on the health system of our country. And so, of course, there must be control mechanisms. And you don't even know whether the right doses are used for some of this medication once they are coming in illegally. But let me go to page 3, do those stories, and then take your reflections, Doc. All right. There is this one. So, ministerial reshuffle. Oforiatta Agyeman-Manu, Ambrose Derry out. Information reaching the Daily Guide indicates that President Akufo-Addo has made changes to his government, with some prominent members losing their positions to new entrants, while others have been moved to other ministries. According to the sources close to the presidency, the yet-to-be-released official reshuffle list was concluded upon following a crunch meeting held on Friday, February 9 at the Jubilee House. Daily Guide's sources say that up to 12 current substantive ministers of state are affected, including 10 cabinet ministers and 2 regional ministers. It is also anticipated that about 7 deputy ministers will lose their positions as well. Among the outgoing ministers are Finance Minister Ken Oforiatta, who is being replaced by Dr. Mohammed Amin Anta, Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance. The Health Minister Kwaku Agyeman-Manu leaving his position for Dr. Bernard Okoboy, current CEO of the National Health Insurance Authority. Interior Minister Ambrose Derry vacating his position for Henry Quartey, current Greater Accra Regional Minister. Member of Parliament for Tema East Titus Glover will be taking over as the Greater Accra Regional Minister, while Deputy Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Martin J. Mensah-Kosa, takes over from his boss, Dan Botwe. These are interesting projections, especially considering that some are suggesting Ken Oforiatta will finally be asked to move aside. And some have said that it is in the direction of aiding the Vice President, now flag bearer of the MPP, so that some of the clouds hanging over his head and the MPP's head, Ghanaians would begin to think things are changing. And some have also questioned whether in these dying moments, in these dying embers, any change would mean anything. Let's reflect on those stories, and then I'll add the Sly Mensah brawl. In fact, we played the footage, so you can react to it as well.
Yes, I think I will look at the reshuffle.
Right.
Reshuffle is critical for any meaningful governance because it brings to fore a number of factors, which include, 1, the need to take a paradigm shift when there is urgent need for that type of position. If you look at where we find ourselves, that we are in the belly of the IMF, then it calls for such, action that you need to be able to have a paradigm shift and then get somebody who has what it takes to be able to play that game and play it well. So I am not surprised that they are making this last-minute changes to the team. Then another point worth mentioning here in terms of what reshuffle is when you want to also inject energy into the system, fresh energy, of course. So you see they are bringing very youthful people and experience and people who have track records, such as Okoboy, such as Mr. Henry Quartey, Titus Glover, and the rest of them, just to come and then augment the effort of government. Remember, that ministerial reshuffle has not done for anything, for any other reason, but the reason is that you want to improve government records and be able to have efficient administration. We are also getting closer to elections, so you want to satisfy the interests of the public who have over the years commented on the need to reshuffle government and bring in people who can really do the job. So in one breath, we are trying to satisfy that public opinion request, and another, you want to also improve governance. Sometimes to retain them, their position, vary them, just because one position, somebody is not playing well and somebody could do it better from elsewhere. All these things put together, you realize that reshuffle is a sine qua non without which nothing well goes on in government. My worry is that it has come at the 11th time where the government is gasping for breath, and that it should have come long time. Otherwise, it put unnecessary stress on the system. And
do you think it is too late now?
Better late than never. But in politics, 1 minute is so critical that now that you are coming, how much effort can you bring to bear on the system to change the status quo for people to want you win back the confidence of people? That is $1 million question for them. So yes, they have made changes, but the change, when did they come? How much of benefit will this work with the party or the government have from this? So it creates a whole lot of problems for them. But hey, if that's what they want to do, yes, you can get some semblance of benefit from it. But the real change and the real effect that you want, I'm afraid, it will elude them because it has come, yes, too late at time.
All right. So purportedly, per some of the information, and we've heard this from other sources as well, but of course, it's ultimately in the purview of the president. It's his responsibility to decide who goes where, in consultation, of course, with other crucial members. But is Dr. Mohamed Amin Anta going to be the next finance minister, and where will Ken go after that? And even in the execution of the IMF deal and everything, how will this pan out? Dr. Okoboy, is he the next health minister? Is he taking over from Kweku Ajimamenu? And is Henry Quartey leaving the Greater Accra ministerial post to become interior minister while Ambrose Derry is shoved out? Those are the questions.
Yeah, there's one more thing. When you look at the crop of people who are likely to go out, very experienced and all that, one of the considerations is also that you want to free them so that they can go and help the vice president to, prosecute the campaign agenda. Yes, you look at it, and one day you vindicate my position. Because somebody like, election general, that is Dambuche, you can't do without him. And if his hands are full in the ministry, it will affect the progress of the campaign. So Ambrose Derry, another stalwart, another experienced person, and then these are people they want to work. Let them rally behind the vice president to champion the cause of the campaign.
All right. Doc, we have about 4 minutes left. Let's make the most of it. On the international front in the Daily Guide, Israel-Gaza ceasefire talks resume as Rafah under fire. When will this end? On both the Israeli and the Palestinian ends, we just want the suffering to end on both ends. No one is more human than the other. I looked on with total horror. I was aghast when Hamas did what it did. Totally unnecessary. I feel even in finding a solution, I don't feel that is the way. And now the response and everything. My point is, let's just put an end to it. Hamas using, facilities that technically, schools, hospitals as a base, but the Israelis also hammering hard. The death toll, it is heartbreaking. We must find some end, some solution to this. First woman appointed as Liberia's defense minister. Liberia's president, Joseph Boakai, has appointed a retired female brigadier general, Geraldine George, as the acting minister of defense after protests by the wives of soldiers forced the resignation of her predecessor. This is the first time a woman is serving in the post, though it is unclear why Mrs. George has been appointed only in an acting capacity. But even if acting, we're grateful. I remember the IGP situation, and then the Speaker of Parliament, is it Madam Bamford, way back when. We want more women in leadership, and whenever we get it, however we get it, we'd be grateful. The New Finder newspaper, I'll just read some headlines, and then, because in the publisher, some of the headlines we've dealt with are already there. So let me just do the New Finder, you react, and we're gone. Access Holdings PLC appoints Bolaji Agbede as acting group CEO. Of course, that is after what happened to Dr. Wigwe. But someone also shared something with me. I looked at, I don't know whether you followed the Access Bank CEO's issue, and unfortunate, I think his wife and his son also gone. Yesterday on Twitter, someone was showing his house. Senior, it's a mansion, a mansion, a mansion. People in Lagos were sharing, saying that they would be surprised if anyone else in Lagos had an edifice, anything close. You should see it on Twitter. But it also makes you realize that human beings, we are really nothing. Because after all of that, he's just gone like that. It's it just makes you aware that Charlie. Anyway, and then massive demo rocks GFA Sports Ministry today. We've been speaking about that. Some major sporting figures in our country are suggesting that things should be done because we're not getting our sports right. Those two major stories. Any reactions? We're gone.
Yes. Ben, were you talking about the man who has been murdered?
No. Not Eric in Japa, Dubai. I'm talking about the CEO of Access Holdings, one Dr. Wigwe, who recently, he was flying with his family in California, I believe, to watch the Super Bowl event. Yeah. And unfortunately, the helicopter was in some sort of accident, and he lost his life, his wife, and I think one of his children as well. So that was what I was alluding to.
It's very, very unfortunate. I mean, when people really work to improve themselves and provide better facility for themselves and also help their society, they die like that. It's a painful one. But I would tie that one to a story we did not discuss. That is the death of the businessman in the north. It's extremely horrifying, and it's a painful thing that you have somebody, a son of the soil, saying that, look, I have investment. I want to invest in some part of this country. And some people will go in the darkness and then go and murder him. It's gradually becoming something that is of a significant worry to us. You remember how, the law professor was also murdered, how the MP was also murdered, and the rest of them. I trust the security of this country. We plead with them. Let them get to the bottom of this matter so that the perpetrators will be brought to book. It's unfortunate. When I hear the story, it saddens me and breaks my heart. And that I don't know how his family will feel now. It's so painful. These things have negative implications about what, investment in the country and the rest. And people will want to even shy away from investing in their own area. This thing I support the CID, which they've done a good job. They are already on the ground and all that. Please, they should leave no stone unturned and get the perpetrators put to court, and the court takes whatever action it is. It's unfortunate, but I am with the family.
All right. Thank you so much, Doc, for joining the conversation this morning. We're very grateful for your time, and we wish you the very best of today. And that is Dr. Kwame Asante. He's a political scientist and director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. I'll just let you know, of course, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Then we'll bring you the aftermath of that confrontation with Sylvester Tete and Kennedy Ejapong. But Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helping us to bring you this segment. Prostate screening is what they're offering for free for men. Fertility screening for free for women. Just reach out to them at any of their branches here in Accra. Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi, Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex. The Stakwade Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswe and Siamanzama. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Happy Valentine's Day to my mother, Susie Akakpo, to Susanna Amanua Ankra, my mommy number 2, to all my mothers for that matter, Nelly, to Miriam, to Akosia Nyansaland. I saw you sent me a message this morning, to Elizabeth, and to Sweetie Abochi, my own colleague here, co-host on the AM show. Sports is up next. But before sports, I believe my director was going to show some scenes from the makeup of Ken and Sly. Let's enjoy that. Sports is up next.
You know my Godfather. I'm ready to guys no,
Morning. Let's do sports now on the AM show with me, Muftao Nabila Abdullahi. On Tuesday, President Akufo-Addo commissioned the Botema Sports Complex, one of the facilities that will be hosting the African Games 2023. About $145 million was committed to constructing that facility for about 29 sporting disciplines. However, only 10 of the sporting disciplines will be happening at Botema, while the rest will be moved to the Legon Sports Stadium, Baba Yara and Cape Coast Sports Stadium. My colleague Victor Achuk Tomaklo was there and comes through with this report.
President Akufo-Addo has commissioned the Botema Sports Complex, the main game center for the Accra 2023 African Games. The $145 million facility has inner routes, a football field, an 8-lane athletics track, a 10-lane swimming pool for competitions, and an extra 10-lane warm-up pool. The facility also has a 1,000-seater dome for indoor games, basketball, badminton, 5 separate courts for tennis, and volleyball courts. Speaking at the event, President Akufo-Addo said the facility was proof of his government's commitment towards sports development.
However, we demonstrated commitment and resilience. And when all hope appeared lost, we came up with a brilliant idea of adopting a hybrid approach to hosting the game. That is, using facilities at the University of Ghana, which were under construction, as well as selected facilities we could develop on time here in Botema. Our decision to adopt the hybrid method has proven to be a wise one, as facilities, both at the University of Ghana and here in Botema, are ready for the hosting of the 13th edition of the Africa Games.
Meanwhile, Sports Minister Mustafa Yusuf expressed optimism that the Games will be a catalyst for sports development in Ghana.
The forthcoming 13th African Games carries immense significance for our national development and beyond. The trail of the competition, the event serves as a catalyst for progress, growth and development, and the construction of the state-of-the-art facilities in the country not only provide a platform for athletics excellence, but also contribute to the overall infrastructure development, leaving a legacy for generations to come. After Accra 2023, the facility will serve as a center of excellence, nurturing budding talent and providing platform for international competitions. This infrastructural investment also align with government's long-term vision of transforming the entire infrastructure here at Botema to a university for sports for development.
So here is the much talked about aquatic center. It has a 10-lane competitions pool and another 10 for warm-ups. You've seen how good it looks. But purely from the athlete's perspective, just how good is this facility? 14-year-old Rina Na Ajoko Ajiri, a swimmer in Ghana's national team, shares her experience.
The level of water is very efficient and the way of lip turning is very good. Like they have a nice push-off. In the diving blocks, I like the fact that I can adjust it to any level I want, because maybe some swimmers aren't comfortable at the level 1, but I'm comfortable at the level 3. So I like the fact that I'm able to adjust it to a good amount. And the lanes are they're equal, and the line in the middle is very clear. The pool is very clear, so I can swim on the line. I know where I'm going and I can swim on the line. Yeah.
Reina is one of Ghana's swimmers currently in the country. Of the 14 swimmers set to represent Ghana at the African Games, only 2 are in the country. The other 12 are expected to arrive in the country by the 25th of February. Daniel Opare, one of Ghana's coaches, says this will not be a problem.
Well, some of them are in swimming camps out of the country. They've got a swimming scholarship to go there and then study and train at the same time. So we know currently they are training. Those are the universities who are with the university teams over there. So they are all training and it's not really going to affect most of them. And you know, currently the World Championship is also ongoing at Doha. And some of them are also representing us over there. So we have 3 of the swimmers here at the World Championship. Yeah, so we have Ablakwa, Jackson, we have Unilist, Techi, and then Christian Norte, who are currently in Doha representing Ghana for the World Championship.
Opare's confidence is shared by Ghana's chef de mission for the African Games, Ernest Danso.
they've been using the best facilities that I can say. Cape Coast are the best facilities. I mean, they have attested themselves, the federation coaches and presidents who actually visited the athletes in camp are so excited and happy about the facilities they are using. It might look delayed, but I feel we are ahead of many countries. I speak to fellow CDMs of a country. They haven't been to camp at all. Some of them might not even go to camp before camp, maybe some few weeks or something before. So I think the players can tell you anytime you speak to them that they have the best time so far because they've never had this before in their lifetime.
Ready or not, we will all find out when the games begin on March 8th. For Joy Sports, Victor Achutamaklo.
That is my colleague Victor Achutamaklo there with the report from Boteman following the commissioning of the facility by the President Nana Akufo-Addo. And right by him was the Minister of Youth and Sports. Reports we are picking up indicate that he's likely to be replaced by Jojo Rocky as the Minister of Youth and Sports. However, there are concerns about regional balance when it comes to the people on cabinet because the gender minister is being removed from her position. So there's a possibility Mustafa Yusuf might stay at the Ministry of Youth and Sports, but there's also the likelihood that just as of last night, he is going to be replaced by Jojo Rocky. The president of the country, Nana Akufo-Addo, is expected to fly out of Ghana later today. We understand that the confirmation would come either before he leaves or right after he leaves, then the confirmation of the reshuffling would happen. The Interior Minister is going to be replaced by the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Henry Korte. The Finance Minister is also being replaced by Dr. Mohamed Amin, but there are also concerns about that position, why the position is being handed to Dr. Mohamed Amin, and then Okoboy will come in as a health minister in place of the former health minister. He has already informed his people that he's leaving the office, and his two deputies as well are also leaving. And then Fatimatu Abubakar is likely to replace Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah as the information minister. This is the position that was initially likely to be handed to Mustafa Yusuf. Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah was supposed to go to the Ministry of Youth and Sports. He's also likely to be moving to the Ministry of Works and Housing, whilst Asenso Boachi will be going to roads and highways. So the reshuffling, that's what is likely to happen. And we expect confirmations of those reshufflings by the close of day. Now, let's hear from former President J.O. Kufuor. There is a football match being organized by his foundation to climax his 85th birthday celebrations. He says he's excited about the fact that his foundation has decided to choose his club, which is Kumasi Asante Kotoko, where he served as chairman of the club somewhere in the 1980s, to play a match against Insuatroman FC.
My old club, I was Kotoko chairman for about 3 years before I became president. And then that time, Kosia Pia was captain and also captain at the same time the national team. Seattle wasn't, those days, quite a team. It wasn't known in Ghana as a team. But I'm happy that you made it so fast and you are going to compete with my team. What's going to consider my team? You want to know, my wife comes from, or hailed from, my wife's hometown is Dumasi, Awia Dumasi, and Fiake, which are the next towns to the capital of it. So in a way, your club is coming from my wife's home to compete with my team. And so I feel caught between two sides that I'm related to. I'll try not to be biased in favor of my team. And I would say, Sunday, let the better side win. But if you should draw, then I would ask the organizers to leave me this cup. So I'll decorate my homework with it. Then the scholars, I'm so proud of you. So far, everywhere I've gone around the world, the reports come glowingly in praise of your efficiency and merit and all that. This is how to build an institution, especially style as scholars, before scholars. The other thing I want to touch on is the fact that at long last, we are completing the mentoring center on the campus of the Premier University of Legon, of Ghana, Legon. You know, the land was given us by the university authorities. And when you drive through campus, just take
And later today, some sports journalists will be assembling at the Obra Sport at Circle as they demonstrate against the leadership of the Ghana Football Association, the Ministry of Youth and Sport, and by extension, government. They thank their demonstration as Save Ghana Football because they believe that the current trajectory of the country's most loved sport is on a downward spiral, and they want the politicians to step out and save Ghana football. Let's hear from Songo, one of the organizers who has been speaking about why they've chosen to take that part of demonstrating on the streets of Accra.
I mean, our leaders, I mean, they thought it wise in drawing the constitution. They were able to allow a situation where you can demonstrate, so you can exercise your constitutional right. You understand? And that is what we are going to do, a very peaceful demonstration where it's going to end very peaceful, and I'm glad the end results very well would be that Ghana will be the winner because we will take back our football.
Very well.
We'll bring the love back.
Very well. You just mentioned the fact that there's going to be a peaceful walk, and of course that's what
very professional
known and noted for. Now, tell me about the route and how things are going to be organized tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which route are we following?
Yeah, the police
where is it starting for? Where's the starting point? Where's it ending? Which route is it following?
As usual, the police will be there.
Okay.
The police will be there, and the security agencies too. We've been able to contact one or two. You understand? We have some 1 or 2 military men who are also going to be around. Very tight security because we don't want any problem. If you come and you misbehave, that is your cup of tea. If you are caught and you are being handed over to the police, or you know, whatever that happens to you, don't come and say, hey, fireman, come and help me, come and do this, because I've not asked you to come. If you think you don't share the same common idea, if you don't see that our football is going so down, then please, but if you want to come, it's just a peaceful walk to make sure that our football gets back to where it has to be. We're starting from Obra Sport Circle.
Very well.
Obra Sport. Then we'll move straight up to, that is the Independence Square. That will be our last point, where we'll petition the president, we'll petition the sports ministry, the FA, then also the parliament.
Have you put all these arms of our government?
Yes, we've served them notice.
You've served them notice.
Served them notice. They're very professional. We're not just waking up to just go on the street and demonstrate and do anything now. We have to seek for permits. We were able to get the permit.
Very well.
And everything is in line for tomorrow. We're hoping everybody, all Ghanaians, everyone, each and everyone will be part of it, because it's Blasters and our football. It's gone so down. We need to make sure our football is back on track. You understand? Everybody's angry, everybody is sick, people are worried, people are just not happy, because you just look, Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast is just, I mean, it's just a border close to Ghana, where the final should have been Blasters and Cote d'Ivoire. Shouldn't have been Nigeria and Cote. Oh yes, very well. You understand? But we know them. We are just close.
Yeah.
They live like us. It's just that they are speaking French and we are speaking the English. You understand? But it didn't happen that way. But I believe it's going to be a successful demonstration tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Songo, thank you so much. It's been good having you here in the studio.
Patrick, let me show you my siren before I leave. I have to. And so if I want to talk, hello.
Okay.
Obia Amra or Brasport at 9 a.m. Sharp demonstration. Save Ghana football. Peaceful one. More fire.
That's your sports for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com. You would also want to join us as we also march on the streets to bring you what the Save Ghana football demonstrators would be saying about Ghana's football. We'll also be sharing some of the content in their petition that will be presented to the president and also to Parliament. We understand the president is traveling out of the country later today. It's unclear if the petition would be presented to someone else to be submitted to him, but the Save Ghana football demonstrators say that the petition is meant for the president. That is your sports for now. Head on to myjoyonline.com and read some more sports stories. We appreciate your time.
Welcome back on the AM show. We veer into our big stories. In fact, we dive right into them. We shall shortly be interacting with the Member of Parliament for North Tong in the person of Samuel Kujetu Ablakwa, and we're going to be having an all-exhausting conversation. But right before we get into that, a topical matter that I'll be running by him has to do with this ministerial reshuffle that we've heard from the grapevine of and all of that. So many dynamics in there. Well, joining me in the studio, we have our very own presidential correspondent. We call him Honorable in the studio. That's why he's in white today. Elton John Brobe, thank you for joining me.
Good morning.
It's rare to have this privilege to do this with you. So good to have you join. Anyway, moving away from the pleasantries, we've heard a lot. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta about to go for Dr. Amin Anta to come. Okoboy replacing Kuku Menu at Health. Ambrose Derry and Henry Kwate leaving the Greater Accra Regional ministerial post for Interior. I mean, so many things. But what have you heard so far?
So remember that on Friday we broke this story.
Yes.
That we had picked outcome of a meeting that took place at the Jubilee House when the president returned from one of his many international trips. And then the conclusion of that meeting around Friday 9 a.m. Was the settling on the names for the possible cabinet reshuffle. And then we got the information the president said he was going to release a press statement on Sunday. It didn't happen. Now, we do understand that there's been a lot of backdoor negotiations here and there. Then finally, they've come to some understanding that it is proper that this cabinet reshuffle is engineered. Now, what we can say for sure, this
when you say it's engineered, what do you mean?
So it has to happen.
Okay.
So this is like a Bawumia-inspired cabinet reshuffle.
Okay.
So most of the people you are going to see or hear tomorrow are people that may come in. Some will say that they have some kind of a relationship with the vice president, who is also the MPP's flag bearer for the 2024 elections. So President Akufo-Addo is expected to leave town around 10 a.m. This morning to London and then to Germany.
Okay.
And then the expectation is that the Speaker of Parliament will have the communication from the President and then will announce it to Parliament. Now, what we have picked is that at least...
Interesting, though, that the President is heading out
at the time
and this may be done when he is not even around.
Yeah, they dropped the bomb so that the door will be closed for any further negotiation.
Wow. So I mean, are you also picking the same information that, the Daily Guide, for example, put it there, its banner headline, among others?
Of course. I mean...
Is that
so so on Friday, we put out some of the names. And then we got to understand that some people were still trying to lobby their way to the new cabinet reshuffle. But what we do know is that at least 12 ministers, 10 of them cabinet ministers, will be out of government. And then about 7 deputy ministers will also be out of government. That is the information we have. And then Mr. Kujetu is coming, so I'm sure he as Member of Parliament probably will have more information to give you, because the Speaker will do the communication this morning when Parliament is in session, and then it will be taken from there. So, for example, some of them actually went to the President to say that on health grounds they don't want to continue.
Okay.
Yes, so on health grounds they don't want to continue. Some also had other reasons why they cannot continue to serve in the Ghana. So it's not a case that they've been reshuffled because the President finds their work unacceptable or unsatisfactory. Some say that they have health issues they need to take care of, they've been in government for years, they've been in parliament for years, and they need to relax and then take care of their health. So that's the reason why they are getting out of government. So somewhere like the rules minister would not be coming, but he will continue to serve as member of parliament for Atiwa West. So his place, we understand, will be taken by the current Works and Housing Minister, member of parliament for Bantama, Francis Asenso. Then the finance minister is also going out of government. For him, it's unclear.
And that's the biggest one, isn't it? I mean, because this has been called for. Even members of parliament from the majority caucus dwelt on that, and it didn't happen. But I mean, some have asked, why now? Yes, the question, the answer has been given that, well, Baumia inspired, like you said, so that it makes the administration look good heading into the elections. But what do you think? Will that necessarily pan out, the effect, at this hour?
A very important question. I mean, I think this is coming in rather too late. I mean, if you ask me, this is coming in rather too late. But then also, you have a year more to the elections. I mean, the question is, how much can these new individuals do to change the fortunes of the NPP if it has to be changed anyway? So it is coming in at a rather late time, but then also, like I indicated early on.
But who knows?
Exactly. So we are expecting that formal communication, and then those who are appointed will go through. What I picked was that the government was not interested in bringing in new people who then have to now go through vetting, and then the approval, it may drag, and then it would delay government business. So they wanted to just move the chairs.
Okay.
Once you've been vetted, you're a minister, they move in. But then before they went on the parliamentary primaries, the instruction or the directive was that if you lose, you're out of government.
Yeah, I heard of that.
Exactly. So those who lost, I mean, they are out, automatically they are out. So the water sanitation minister is out of government.
Frida Prempeh.
Yeah, her place has been taken over by the deputy whip, as we have been told, Linda Seram Al-Hassan, the infancy.
Oh, the same Lydia Seram Al-Hassan who represents
Ayawaso West Bogon. So there's actually going to be some also changes in the leadership of parliament. We are picking information that because the foreign minister has indicated that she may be seeking election as General Secretary of the Commonwealth, there's indication that she may need more time to campaign. And for that reason, they need somebody who can really work as a substantive foreign minister to lead a government foreign policy. Osei Chairman Sabonsu's name has come up as a possible replacement, which means that the leadership of parliament will have to go through some kind of a reshuffle.
He was already going to leave.
Yeah, I mean,
after
he's not
this,
coming back. Yeah, so if he's moved to the foreign ministry, the expectation is that Alexander Fanyama can maybe made the substantive leader, majority leader. But that is subject to a meeting that we are told will happen between the leadership of the NPP and the leadership of parliament, the majority side. And then for chief executive officers who also contested in the parliamentary primaries, won or lost, they are also being asked to step aside so that they can concentrate on their parliamentary ambition. So it is going to be something holistic, from ministers of state to chief executive of state-owned enterprises and to leadership of parliament.
So it appears, just to conclude, it appears that once you lose your slot, look at someone like Francis Asenso-Wache, who was contested, fiercely by Raphael Ejapon. It means that if he had lost, he's already Works and Housing Minister. In this new shake-up, he could have probably lost.
Absolutely.
But since he didn't lose,
he's going to,
he just might be moved on.
Yeah.
Well, interesting times. We look forward to seeing how that pans out, especially also Dr. Okoboy, who
we are told
you look at the circumstances. When he lost in Parliament, he lost his deputy ministerial role, and now he could be the substantive
health minister, because the health minister is also going out. The interior minister is also going out. The environment minister is also going out. So these, I don't know whether it is about time they are facing out the old guys in the party and bringing new names or new faces. And whether this is going to have any impact on the NPP going to 2024 election is something that perhaps in the days to come we'll have more time to explore.
Elton, very grateful. But for those of you watching us, stay with us, because guess what? We are about to bring in the Member of Parliament for North Tong, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, and he will actually be looking at some of these very issues that we're talking about here, this ministerial reshuffle and what it means. We'll also delve into myriad matters, corruption, the NDC and its own, hurdles that it has to climb, among other matters, the SML contract, MEPE and the situation there. All of those are going to be on the radar. So just stick and stay. In about a minute, I'll be hosting the Member of Parliament for North Tongue, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa. He will join us as we discuss these all-important issues with you right here on the AM show. All right, so here we go. And he is Member of Parliament for North Tongue. He has been vociferous in talk about the president's travels initially, then the National Cathedral, and he is also a stalwart of the National Democratic Congress. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Member of Parliament for North Tongue, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa. He joins me in the studio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Thanks for joining the conversation. So since we started off from that angle already, let's just clear that hurdle before we get into MEPE and everything in between. What do you make of it? You've heard all the discussions. You've seen the Daily Guide's story. What do you make of it?
I mean, honestly, it's a little too late. Many Ghanaians had expected that this non-performing team, which has delivered the worst economic crisis in living memory. I don't recall any time in our history that we've had to go through financial haircuts, a domestic debt exchange program, that we have been declared bankrupt, that all the rating agencies from Moody's to Fitch to Standard & Poor's have all downgraded us, giving us junk status. I mean, we've defaulted.
But in terms of downgrades, we've had downgrades before.
Yeah, but not to this, not to this level, to this extent, So you look at every sector. I mean, you take the health ministry, for example. I mean, Kweku Ejimamenu has been indicted by Parliament. A bipartisan committee, declared him, guilty with the Sputnik V scandal. You have members of Parliament in an unprecedented move on the ruling party side, all coming together. And at a point, you had a majority leader say that now all of them are ad idem, that the finance minister should go. You have a situation where
But now he's going. Per what we're gathering, he will go.
But you see, when the rot is so deep, the destruction, the devastation, the catastrophe is now so, emphatic, to put it mildly. What really do you expect in this, dying hours under a lame duck president? So really,
you're referring to the president as a lame duck president. I don't think he appreciates you're calling him.
But I agree.
I think you could be more friendly.
I agree with.
Why would you call him a lame duck?
I agree with Speaker Bagbin. As a student of political science, when you are in your dying moments and you have elected a flag bearer, the power interests, the power dynamics, and loyalties shift.
My point is, it doesn't make him a lame duck. Can't you find a different alternative?
No, that is
an alternative.
It's a technical term. That's the expression, and you can put it any other.
The president has said that he's still within his powers.'s still president until January the 7th, 2025.
You heard Elton say a while ago that this is a Bawumia inspired. Bawumia is trying to salvage, a very terrible situation. You heard him trying to declare himself, just a mere mate. He now says the economic management team is a subcommittee that only advises. So where it hasn't go well, it means they didn't listen to my advice, leave me out. Betraying the president, removing himself from the mess. It clearly hasn't worked. The Ghanaian people are not having any of that. So really, if you look at the situation we find ourselves in now, this is a president who has not been responsive, who has waited too long, and it is so late in the day. I don't see 10 months what this reshuffle will achieve. The harm has been caused already. The Ghanaian people have made up their minds.
Yes, but better late than never. When you look at the finance ministry, should what we are projecting happen, the Daily Guide has put forth some things we have already since last Friday. if Dr. Amin Anta takes over from Ken Ofori-Atta, he'll come with his own mindset, fresh ideas. We've not heard of John Kuma. We don't know what will happen to him, the deputy. There's also health, for example. Okoboy, Dr. Okoboy, I'm sure he's a friend of yours. Fine gentleman. He was there as deputy, lost his parliamentary election, did not get the nod. Now he may be taking over from Kweku Agyeman-Menu. Some of them tired, actually. I mean, these are positive reshuffles, right?
So you see, you put out the expression better late than never. Our friends, the medical doctors, will tell you that it's not every medical condition that it is better late than never. There are times that if you don't present early and you miss certain milestones, they'll tell you that, look, you should have come long ago. Your cancer has reached stage 4. It's now a terminal situation. It's nothing we can do to help you. I think that that's where we are now. It's been 7 years and more of intransigence, of lack of a conciliatory approach to governance. You've had MPP stalwarts, from Kwame Pienim, Dr. Mwakuba, many of them saying that, look, the president is not listening to us. We don't know who we have elected. We campaign for him. He's changed. He's not listening to advice. He's become so impervious. He will just have his way no matter what happens. And you had his family members like Gabi Ochidakun out there defending him, saying that he doesn't believe in reshuffles, no matter what the pressures are, no matter how...
Gabi says he's no longer involved in local politics.
Yeah,
so
but he offered some explanation, and don't fall for that. This whole claim that...
No, I'm just telling you what he's...
Yeah, but don't fall for it. They are trying to create the impression that they are not the ones bringing Bawumia. He's his own man. It's not working. We all know what is happening behind the scenes. But back to the substantive point. If you look at what this president has done to our country, if you look at the unprecedented levels of corruption, if you look at the wastage, the reckless dissipation of scarce resources. As we speak, we have spent 339 million Ghana cedis of taxpayer money to dig a pit, the world's most expensive pit, in the name of putting up the president's cathedral. If you look at how much was...
National Cathedral, not the president's cathedral.
How did it become national? We were in parliament. We never had any...
Well, the name of the facility is the National Cathedral.
But you see, for projects to be national, you have to involve everybody. You must come to parliament. There has to be national ownership.
Okay, so let's streamline this. So you're basically saying that instead of better late than never, this is too little, too late.
Too little, too late. It will not solve any of the problems that we face: the hardship, the corruption, the massive unemployment, the total desperation that has engulfed this country. This dying moments reshuffle by a lame duck president is not going to solve the situation.
All right, so let's do this. Let's head to Mepe. This came in because of the conversation I had with Elton. Let's head to Mepe. Quite a lot has happened there in recent times. I've heard talk about the desire for water and some other reliefs that had been planned. But you have been doing quite a good job there. You even put up this facility. I want our viewers to watch this video footage, after which we'll come back into the studio and interrogate what it took to get to this level.
We want people who can also support them also to support us.
So now that the FD has taken it upon himself to put up that big structure, which will accommodate 300
All right, so that is the work that has been done, and you saw parts of, I believe that was the second housing project that you had put out there. Yes. Housing, going to house about 300.
300, yes.
Have people moved in?
Yes, they have. And for this one, we prioritized the aged, the fiscally challenged, and then we continued with the focus on single mothers. The first one was purely for single mothers and their children. This one, we're bringing in the aged and the physically challenged. As you do know, yes.
You mentioned the third group, the aged, physically challenged.
And then single mothers.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So we have a dire humanitarian crisis on our hands. As we speak, 5 months down the lane, since the spillage from the Kosovo dams on the 15th of September, you have our compatriots, our fellow Ghanaians, living in tents. According to NADMO, in North Tongue alone, 12,633 people were displaced. 1,540 homes were totally damaged. And so, even though the water levels have receded, the people whose homes were destroyed have nowhere to go to. And they have to remain in congested classrooms, they have to remain in tents, provided by benevolent organizations. And so we took it upon ourselves that if we don't act fast, very soon the rains will be upon us. And these tents, even though we appreciate that they have helped to at least, offer some succor, you cannot count on the tents to protect people fully when the raining season starts. In a few weeks from now. And that's why we've been working expeditiously. You notice that this project, we executed it in 7 weeks. 7 weeks. And this is an enhanced design where it's disability friendly. We added kitchens, we added TV rooms, we added storerooms to the bedrooms. So if you look at the design, we have a large bedroom for families, households. And then when you come out of the bedroom, you have shared facilities. So you have a shared kitchen, you have shared storerooms, you have shared TV rooms and meeting rooms. So it's a very communal, living. We delivered this in 7 weeks. And I want to take a moment to thank all of those who came to our aid. I'll go through the list quickly. Togbi Kosi Nego of MEPE donated the land. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, my good self, I came up with 30% of the donations, or if you like, the cost of the project. The Right Honourable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, the current Speaker, Right Honourable Edward Doa Jaho, the former Speaker, Her Ladyship, Justice Gertrude Arabai Saba Tokono, the Chief Justice of Ghana, very generous. She came there to present donations from all the judges and the Judicial Service of Ghana, Professor Nana Jenopoko Ajiman, Sheikh Dr. Osman Nuhu Sharabutu, the National Chief Imam. And the National Chief Imam was the first to donate to this project, 70,000 Ghana cedis. And that is why we have named a whole block after the National Chief Imam for his really inspiring example. Togbe Apede the 14th, the Christian Council of Ghana, Reverend Sudada Anaba Ministries, Davida Rufin, Ghanaian staff of the United Nations. All the Ghanaians in the United Nations came together to contribute. The University of Ghana Business School, lecturers of Whole Technical University, Mr. Eric Sedi Kutoche, the Executive Chairman of the First Sky Group, Mr. and Mrs. Ruben Chachu Adoko. Goyle PLC, the famous brand, they also contributed. St. George's Security Services, Madam Florence Enin, Mr. Felix Ado, Mark Ruben Kuba, lawyer Jesse Jacinto, Hanifa Yaya, Mohammed Isa, Mr. Prosper Game, Mr. Nashiruddin Tahir, NDC New Jersey chapter, the Big Brothers Club of the Electricity Company of Ghana, Mr. Prosper Lechu, Rosa Foundation, the Central Group, Sweat Must Drop Youth Association, Bato, Stephen Inshurao, Datafew and Friends, Regulus Investment and Financial Services Limited, Just Wealth Limited, the Esbekans Association, who are Ghanaian professionals trained in Cuba, Kalovan Foundation, and then, of course, my dear wife, who I have to greet this morning and wish a happy Valentine. So this is the list, and you see that it's quite comprehensive. What we did in Northtown is that we set up the Accountability Elders Council. So every donation that comes in, it goes to the council. They open an account, a GCB account in Sogakope, They are the signatories. I am not a signatory. I stay away from all financial matters. Just to build confidence.
Who are the signatories?
The Accountability Elders Council. Chaired by,
who are there?
So it's chaired by Professor Emmanuel Neche Afedo, who is a very prominent son from Northtown. He also has expertise in disaster management. He worked in Denmark for many years, but he's retired now. So he chairs the council, and we have the chiefs there. So Togbe Azagba is a secretary and also a signatory. He is the warlord of Mapa in terms of his role within the chieftaincy authority.
So it appears you have quite a system.
So we have a system. So every donation that comes in, it goes to the council. They lodge into the account, and then that's how we have managed.
I have some quick questions for you. So the Accountability Elders Committee, you mentioned quite a list here. Yeah. Your own self, you contributed 30%. Former President Mahama, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, Doa Jaho, former Speaker, Chief Justice Tokonu, Professor Pokwa Jiman, the Chief Imam, 70,000, Togbe Afede, the 14th, Ghanaian to the UN, UGBS Goyle. It goes on and on, right?
Yes.
I'd just like to find out from you, though, what's the total cost of the project?
So the total cost is 2.5 million Ghana cedis for this second one. 2.5
million Ghana
cedis.
Yes, that's for the second phase.
The second project we did. The first one, which was sponsored by the First Sky Group, they inform us that that's 1.2 million because if you notice, theirs is quite basic. This time we enhanced the design. Okay. We added kitchens, we added storerooms, we added TV rooms. So you can understand that this one will cost a bit more than the first one. And it's interesting what 2.5 million.
So when you say 2.5 million, you're talking of cedis, right?
Yes, cedis.
Ghana cedis.
Ghana cedis. It's interesting to see what 2.5 million Ghana cedis can achieve for 300 people to get them respite, to have roofs over their heads. Because look, we have to ask ourselves as a country, is it really acceptable that 5 months down the lane, these people have done nothing to deserve this, committed no crimes? According to VRA, if they didn't spill, the dam will break. We will all not have electricity.
I mean, we've been there and done that. We are moving forward in terms of...
Yes, so...
Do you feel not enough has been done from the people of Mefe?
Yes, I think that government has been too lethargic. They've been too slow. I mean, if we don't receive taxes from the people,
right?
And yet we've been able to do this, benevolent Ghanaians.
But the president gave you that assurance. He said that maybe you may not vote for him all the time, but he gave you the assurance that he would do what has to be done, and they've done something.
Yes,
NADMO has done something.
So first of all, the president
there have been lots of donations.
The president should not have been talking about votes. What matters is that we are all Ghanaians. We all pay taxes. It shouldn't matter. And he repeated that when he met the Ekumfi people. He should stop saying those things. All of us are Ghanaians. When elections are over, they are over. Look, as MP, executing this mandate, I didn't get 100%.
Right.
In Northtown. It's not really possible. I don't know of any politician who's got 100%. But in carrying out all these interventions, whether it's the scholarships are provided, whether it's the rent for 167 teachers, whether it's the renovations, whether it's the school bags, the school shoes, the school uniforms, we are not asking anybody for party cards. We don't care how you vote.
Which should be the case.
That is how
there are no political colorations, no political things.
At all.
Let's look a bit more.
We want to see the government, rise up to its obligations. They must wake up and really come to the assistance of our people. Yes, we are helping, but there's still many people who remain in the tents. And
how many people are in tents right now?
It's a scar.
How many people are in tents?
About 2,500 people. If you look at those in Mefe Degome, if you look at those living in Agbetipo, if you add those at the Bato DA camp, those at the Dofwadi Dome camp, those at the Fojoku camp, the Alabonu camp, you put all of this together, you're talking about 2,500 people.
2,500 people. So another 2,500 people still need proper shelter. They are in tents. Yes. We saw some of the tents, and now they need proper shelters.
Yes.
2,500 people.
Yes, they have to be resettled. And later we must have a discussion about compensation, because they've lost their farms, they've lost their livelihoods, they lost their properties. I mean, we must.
Is that a conversation as MP you started?
Yes.
You started that conversation?
Yes.
Whom have you spoken to?
I've made statements on the floor. When the finance minister visited us at the peak of the disaster, before our chiefs and the media, I made a point clearly that we will expect resettlement and compensation. It's a matter of right. It is only fair. I repeated same when the Minister of Education visited us. I have filed questions in Parliament about this matter. So what has to be done by a Member of Parliament in terms of leading the advocacy, in terms of reminding government of its obligations under the Constitution, I keep doing that.
Okay, so let's break apart a bit of the project. I want some further clarity. The first project, the first facility.
Yes.
Did you contribute towards that?
Yes. So that was a beautiful partnership. So the chiefs provided land, the Aveime chiefs. Then First Sky Group provides the fiscal structure. So I then come in with the furnishing. I provided the beds and the funds, and then I'm supporting them with their light bills.
Okay, so First Sky put up the edifice. The chiefs provided the land.
Yes.
You provided furniture and fans.
Yes, and then light bills.
And light bills.
Yeah, the assurance to the occupants.
All right. How much did all of this cost you?
With the
so furniture, fans,
fans, that should be running into about 200,000 cedis.
200,000 cedis.
Yeah.
All right, and not to talk about the light bills, and that will fluctuate. So
yes,
we will not necessarily get into that. But I also, so let's say that your contribution for the first project was 200,000 Ghana cedis. You said that for the second project you contributed 30%.
Yes.
30% of 2.5 million is 750,000 Ghana cedis, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so with all of these sums of money, how do you manage? How did you manage to take care of all of this? 750,000, almost. So if you put them together, 950,000, almost 1 million Ghana.
Yes. So what you need to recognize is that for the support from the MP's office, we do have the MP's Common Fund that comes in. So you put that in the mix. And then for the second project, the Accountability Elders Council, they announced that I had guaranteed a facility which we raised. And we are hoping that as and when donations come in, we can retire the facility. So it's a lot of creativity. You have to raise a facility when you have to. You need to use the MP's Common Fund if you have to. You have to talk to friends and well-wishers. When you have to. Because, you see, sitting idle cannot be an option. I mean, if you look at the traumatic situation, what people are going through, I mean, you have 80-year-olds, 90-year-olds, they don't deserve to live under these conditions. And as a local leader, you can't, throw your hands in despair. You have to make an effort, and that's what we're doing.
So how much of this came out of your MP's Common Fund?
So about I'd say about 20%, 25%.
So 20% of 1 million would give you about 200,000. I mean, it's 950,000, not 1 million. So that may give you about 185,000, 190,000.
Yeah.
And the rest came out of your pocket?
No, the rest, I said we raise a facility with the accountability.
No, I mean of the 950,000. So if 20% came out of your common fund, then the rest came out of your pocket?
Yes, raising a facility that we hope to retire as more donations come in, because we have to.
I just want clarity on that. It came out of your pocket. So about 750,000 came out.
No,
of
when you raise
Ablakwa
when you raise a facility, it's not from your pocket.
No, you're not getting my point. Let's break it down.
Yeah.
You said that this is 100% project, right? Mm-hmm. The entire sum is 2.5 million Ghana cedis. You said you contributed 30%.
Yes.
Out of the 30%, which is about 750,000 cedis. Mm-hmm. And mind you, for the first project, you had spoken about furniture, fans. Mm-hmm. We've not even added electricity. Mm-hmm. That's another 200,000, right? Which gives you a total of 950,000, almost 1 million Ghana cedis, 50,000 shy. I'm just saying, and you said that out of this, 20% came from your common fund, which is about 185,000, 190,000. Mm-hmm. So it means the rest of the about 750,000 came from your pocket, right? Because that was your personal contribution.
You raise a facility, you go for a loan, which the Professor Nature Fedo-led council is aware, and they announced that at the launch. If you talk to your colleagues who were at the event, and we're hoping to retire that as more donations come in. So it's not personal pockets. But
you went for a loan?
Exactly.
You took a loan?
Yes.
To do this?
Yes.
So who's repaying the loan?
You're not listening to me. I say that as donations come in, then we retire it.
Okay, so
Yes.
the loan was taken by the group.
Exactly.
So that as funds come in,
then we retire
you defray the debt.
Exactly.
So it didn't come from your pocket?
Which was announced, yes, no, not from my pocket. That's why I said we raised the facility.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's look at this. So eventually, in terms of retiring the loan or retiring the facility, when all of this is said and done, and the people have been relocated, this will be the final bit on MEPE.
Yeah.
When the people have been relocated, what happens to the facility? Are you going to turn it into a school, a hospital? I'm just thinking, what do you do then with the facility?
So, brilliant question. We announced at the commissioning that the plan now is to turn those two facilities, and if we do build more, we don't have a tertiary institution in the entire Ton enclave, not North Ton, not Central Ton, not South. None. No tertiary, no nursing training college, no college of education for teachers, no university. So after secondary school, everybody has to leave town. So the plan is that we will use these facilities as the fulcrum. Fortunately, we have fantastic facilities like the Bator Catholic Hospital, where you can have clinicals. If you set up a nursing school, they can go there for their practicals. So the plan now, and we've told them, and actually very soon our lawyers will be done with the agreements they will be signing, because we don't want any litigations soon. We want to give people about 3 to 4 years of grace period to live in there, hoping that by that time government's resettlement projects will be completed, hopefully. Then they move into their own resettled homes, final evacuation. Then these buildings can serve as the structures that we can use for a nursing training institute.
Okay.
So that the Bator Catholic Hospital, which is really renowned in terms of its services. I mean, if you talk to a lot of the practitioners, gynecology, for example, pediatrics.
I know a lot of people go there. I don't know about now, but for fibroid surgeries, I know a lot of people from Accra.
Yes, Dr. Tuguba and his colleagues, fantastic doctors. I mean, people always speak excellently about them. So we are hoping that having that advantage, we can leverage on that with these facilities that we are building to serve as the first tertiary institution for that enclave, a nursing training institute. So that's the vision moving forward when hopefully we are fully out of the woods.
Okay, I want us to focus briefly on Parliament, because that's your house. That's where you play, so to speak, and you are a multiple-term member of Parliament. When you look at the 8th Parliament and how it's performed, looking at the fact that we are going into another electoral cycle, going to embrace the 9th Parliament, and some of what has happened in both the NDC and the MPP, where stalwarts are either not going anymore or they did not win their primaries and all of that. Some have said this means that the quality of the 9th Parliament is going to be low. And you have the majority leader, he's not coming back. And so many other dynamics. What would you say to that question about the quality of parliamentarians and whether that will be affected on the back of, especially on the majority side, some of the losses they've incurred?
I think we need to have a nuanced discussion about this phenomenon. And, you have to be careful not to create the impression as though every new entrant coming into the House doesn't have something good to offer just because they are new. I mean, they are first-time MPs who have made such an impact. If I look at young MPs like the Honorable Isaac Adongo, the Honorable Francis Xavier Susu, who are, younger in the House, younger to me, and others, I don't think that you will say that they have not made a meaningful addition. I would argue that they have been phenomenal. So it is not always the case that longevity necessarily amounts to a positive addition, even though I am going to concede that because of how the House is, quite regimented, quite technical, you must master the standing orders, master our procedures and practices and conventions. You need some time to catch up and become well versed in those arenas. But I think that we need to find a fine balance. You also want to show that the institution is growing. You are having, fresh impetus every now and then. So I think that we should always go.
So there's a fine balance.
We should always go
new
for
faces.
We should always go for the fine balance. Yes, and I think that it blends nicely. So I'm not one who will just dismiss every young person coming, because if that was the case, some of us would not have been given the opportunity. And I don't think that as relatively young MPs, we have done badly, even though I'll leave that verdict for the people to make. So I get a sense that there's a lot of apprehension out there, but I am not too disturbed. I think that the institution will thrive. All of these people who are senior today and are leaving were young, and they still made their impact when they came in freshly. What I will add, though, is that we should encourage a culture of parliamentary career politicians, as we have in other jurisdictions.
Right. There are people who have been in Congress for... Yes. They've been there their entire lives.
Yes, their entire lives. And we should encourage that. Here, in no time you start hearing, it's been there for too long.
They've also done well. There are parliamentarians who have been there for 20 plus years.
Yes.
Alban Bagbin.
Yeah, except that there are not many.
Oseichi Mensah Bonsu. They've been there for forever.
They are, and they are rare breeds. We have the attrition rate in the Ghanaian parliament is amongst the highest.
But isn't it also about two things? One, the quality of people, and then two, the fact that it is very political here. Those establishments you're comparing us to, Congress and the rest, they do a fine job. They have staff. They go by the book. Yes, the politics is there, Republican and Democrat, but they have a system. Here, it is extremely partisan. It is extremely partisanly political. So obviously, we can't say same and expect people to be there for 4 decades or 5 decades.
So you do have a point about the extreme partisanship, and I think that we need to, as an institution, even get the message that voters are delivering to us now. See, for the first time, we have a hung parliament, and you're seeing a lot of what we call in Ghanaian parlance skirt and blouse voting. So you see a certain desire by the electorate that go to parliament and reduce the partisanship, seek our interests. When the executive gets out of range, they become unhinged. You should rein them in. And I think that so far as that expectation is concerned, we haven't done much. We must do better. We must all concede as a house that if you look at the three arms of government, there's a very, overwhelming view out there that the legislative arm has been the weakest. And some say it's a function of the Constitution. I say that it is both the function of the Constitution and the people who we send there, because really nobody puts a gun to your head to engage in the extreme partisanship. You should be able to put the country first and pursue a nationalistic, patriotic agenda and leave that to your conscience. Even if you may suffer within your party, I don't think that that should deter you from doing what you should do. So it's not just merely the issue of constitutional provisions, but it is also, the caliber of persons and their personal creed that they go into parliament with. So I think that, back to the point I was making, we need to really encourage more parliamentary career politicians who go to parliament just because they want to be legislators, they want to be lawmakers, and not because they want to catch the eye of the president.
How do we do that?
Perhaps.
Had is ideological, whatever trainings. How do we get there? Do we have to have a system? There are career diplomats.
Yes.
Okay, my own uncle was a career ambassador here and there. There are those who chart that course and that path, and there are things to do. How do we do same for legislators?
I agree with the...
And briefly on that point.
Very briefly, I agree with the Constitutional Review Commission's work that we should amend that constitutional provision that mandates presidents to appoint majority of their ministers from parliament. I think that has been really the bane, and that is what has reduced the potency of parliament. So people go to parliament hoping that they will catch the eye of the president. And when announcements are made, for example, soon there will be these reshuffles and all of that, those MPs who are left out, who don't make the list, it's as if you are an outcast. It's as if you are not a good MP. Meanwhile, you didn't go to parliament. The people didn't vote for you in their constituency to become a minister. They were voting for their MP, to represent them in parliament, not in cabinet or the executive. So I think that constitutional amendment will help. And let's have a more assertive, a more independent parliament, and let's encourage more parliamentary career. And it starts from us. I mean, we should not always be beholden to the executive, looking for favors from the executive. We should be content with our conditions of service in the House, and we should work in a way that we will earn, that respect that we deserve. And I really think that will be the solution.
All right, so 2 quick questions on Parliament, and then we can move on to other things. We're still going to be talking about Bawumia's speech and what was in there, GRA, the SML issues, the anti-gay bill, among others. But quickly, so on going back to Parliament and everything in between, there have been some projections from some people that you're going to have a wide majority in Parliament come the 9th Parliament. Do you subscribe to that? And what are your projections and why?
I've been looking at the polls, and it's a scientific projection. It's based
scientific by whom? By the NDC?
It's based on evidence. No, I've been looking at the polls. If you follow what the Global Info Analytics has been doing, Musa Dankwa's group, and you also consider our own internal polling, you will realize that there's really a groundswell of support for the NDC, not only for our parliamentary candidates, but also for our flag bearer. There is no doubt that we are winning, and we're going to win massively. And largely, it's due to the abysmal performance.
When you say you're going to win massively, presidential or parliamentary?
Both presidential and parliamentary. We're going to have a very, very convincing and working majority, as is described in the terminologies. But having said that, we are not complacent. We are not saying that, look, it's in the bag, and so we are going to rest on our oars. We're working very hard. We consider there have been times that we could have been more vigilant. There have been times that we allow all kinds of things to happen, behind the scenes that denies the people the right to have their votes properly counted. So we are working on all of those areas. I'm confident in the Dr. Omane Boama-led election directorate. They've brought in a lot of reforms, very exciting new ways of tightening.
Are you going to be able to monitor the elections this time around and get your facts?
Yes, that's
on the minute, rather than what we saw in the last election.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about. So we are humble enough, honest enough to concede that there have been some of those election management areas where we have fallen short, not met the expectation of our voters. Look, when people go through all of that hassle, the queues, under the vagaries of the weather, they expect their votes to count. They expect you to respect their mandate, that they have given to you. So we're going to solve all those problems, and I'm really impressed with what the Omane Boama.
You're going to solve, which means you've not solved yet.
So when I put it that way, I want the election outcome, how we conduct ourselves on December 7th, to speak for itself.
Okay, all right.
That by December 7th, Ghanaians will be impressed with what we do. So we're very confident. Look, if you see the quality of work that MPs have done in opposition, I'm told in the polls that anytime research is conducted, NDC MPs feature prominently in terms of MPs who are really serving their people, who are out there, who are not disappointing their electorate. And I think that in all humility, we have to continue that way. my colleagues and
do you have a projection in terms of the numbers you're hoping to get?
Oh yes, I mean we don't expect anything less than 180 seats from the way things are looking, and it could be.
So 275. You're expecting about 180.
Yeah.
You are hoping to leave the MPP with about 95 seats.
Yes, it's very possible. Very possible. I mean,
so your projection, I mean, is that you could get about what?
About 180 seats. Yeah.
180 seats.
Yes.
Which would give you a dominant majority in Parliament.
Yeah.
That's your projection.
Yes.
For 2025.
That's what the polls are telling us. If they are to be believed, and we don't have cause to doubt.
All right. Since we're talking politics, I'll get to the EC shortly, but I just have a question. The former President Mahama, he's spoken about ex gratia packages and all of that, which you benefited from, right? He has benefited from. You have benefited from. All of you who have served up to this point since Kufuor have benefited from.
Yes,
but let me just ask you this: are you willing to forfeit it? Because that's where he's stoked conversation on that. Are you willing to forfeit that? Do you think it's the right direction to go?
Absolutely. And if you've been following my writings, I probably started talking about this way back, even before it became a topical issue in recent times. And I noticed that Dr. Bawumia has also now caught up with this position, albeit belatedly. Look, I take the view that there are ways that this whole exiting packages can be managed better. If you take MPs, for example, as I speak to you as MP in this 8th Parliament, I don't know my conditions of service. We wait. You set up the emoluments committee later. The president sets it up very late.
But they say that is done intentionally so that you can get accumulated money.
Accumulated, yeah.
But you fed into that system. The NDC has done the same thing.
Why do we keep doing that? Because, look, a lot of what people complain about ex gratia, a lot of it is just accumulated. Because as organized labor is negotiating, and every year you are getting either a 10% increase or a 30% increase, getting COLA and all of those things. We are left out. We wait to the last minute at the end of your tenure, then it is all put together, lump sum. Then it becomes a huge figure, and then there is such an uproar. Why don't we have a system? And I subscribe to what the UK did recently, where you have an independent emoluments commission. Because you see, even how it is done in Ghana, ab initio creates the impression that, look, this is going to be a scratch my back, I scratch your back. The president is appointing, and then we have to approve that of the executive. They approve that of the legislature.
If you do me, I do you.
Yeah. So depending on how we are watching. So if you make me fine, I go do you fine. It's not helpful. So let us have an independent emoluments commission, as the UK has done recently, and they should be in charge of everybody, not only politicians. Because I keep saying that, look, the political class should consciously take away the things that bring us into opprobrium. The matters that consistently, puts us on a collusion course with the electorate, with the Ghanaian people, is totally needless. It can be avoided.
Let me just clarify. Did you say, just because of what's on the screen, did you say 180 or 190 seats?
180.
180.
So, 180.
So we'll clarify that.
Yes,
we hope to secure
180
seats in Parliament. That's what I just had to take a quick look at that. 180 seats. You said.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So I support that it should be scrapped. The ex gratia should be scrapped. I support total reforms. I am for constitutional overhaul. I'm also for setting up an independent emoluments commission. Let's remove this from the clause of the executive and the legislature. And then you also bring in the head of the judiciary along the way. Let's remove that. It lends itself to a certain perception that we're just sorting ourselves out. It's so self-serving. It is.
So you're in agreement. So we should find a better way of doing it and let it go, basically.
Yes.
Are you also in agreement that maybe Article 71 should be taken a deeper look at? Maybe we should even scrap it. Yes. Article 71
yes.
office holders.
Yes, I mean, yeah, it creates the impression as though we have some special class of workers. You know,
so that article of the Constitution should be looked at?
Yes, it should be looked at, because I think that when we set up the Independent Emoluments Commission, that looks at the whole gamut of public sector workers. I even thought that was the philosophy behind single spine. Let's all have a single spine. Let's have a common system that works for all of us.
And single spine hasn't lived up to expectations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, so, you know that in this country, as we speak, you have some CEOs who earn more than their ministers who supervise them.
True.
Earn more than the president.
There are some who have been earning 70,000, 80,000.
Yeah.
Yes, it's been like that for
120,000. Yeah. You know, earning more than the president, earning more than the vice president. I mean,
even come to think of it, and we'll get to the GRA, but even there, you would see that as well. Quickly, before we get into those other issues, I want us to make the most of the time before we hit the top of the hour. The Electoral Commission, since we're talking about Parliament and everything, it all boils down to, yes, the institution in charge of delivering elections, ensuring that everything is done properly and that it is free, fair, transparent. It has come through with some reforms, some of which have come through Parliament, including the talk of not using indelible ink in the next election and all of that. What do you make of the current EC, its posturing, especially as the NDC is back on IPAC? What do you think your expectations would be from the Electoral Commission?
To be very sincere with you, my brother, I take the view that the current EC, led by Madam Jean Mensah, are not building consensus. And they are trying to fix matters that are not broken. They are trying very hard to stir the hornet's nest, to create chaos when they shouldn't be doing that. And I would advise them to listen carefully to the most celebrated electoral commissioner, not only in Ghana, but on the African continent, Dr. Kwejo Afori-Gyan. At the beginning of the year, I attended his lecture at UPSA, and he called on the Electoral Commission to give consensus a chance, that in these matters, it's always better to proceed based on consensus. There's been so many mistakes this EC has made. I mean, remember the attempt not too long ago to say that if you don't have a Ghana card, you cannot get registered. When they should have known that not everybody has a Ghana card, and that the whole, Ghana identification system is still work in progress, and they've not reached anywhere, particularly if you come to rural Ghana. I asked in Parliament for a district breakdown. Up to now, the NIA has not been able to provide the district breakdown because they know they will be exposed. They only put out ballpark figures. But if you come to rural
the
Ghana,
fact that they've not given it to you doesn't mean they are.
No, I mean, I've sent.
I mean, let's be fair to them.
I've sent several reminders. I mean, I've written to them, and they will not even give us the decency of a reply. But we will get them. We know what parliamentary orders to activate, and we will get them. But you see, when you look at the latest reforms that the EC is proposing, this indelible ink, where from that? We all know that
they say they have the systems, biometric and otherwise, to deal with it, and so you don't even need the indelible ink. I mean, in other jurisdictions, they don't use indelible ink, do they? The UK and other places, they don't use indelible ink.
Look, I know of some jurisdictions who use them.
But generally they don't.
Yeah, some don't, some do. And look, our biometric system is not foolproof. Remember that in the processes, you are allowed, when you cannot be verified, you are allowed to engage in manual voting. You are allowed. Now, for those people who, they just can't get their thumbprints, the system cannot, capture them. What's the guarantee that they will not, go about engaging in multiple voting? Look, this is so needless, totally needless. It has served us well. Let us keep it. I mean, and on this matter, let me commend the Honorable Majority Leader, the Honorable Oseche Mensah. This is a matter which I do not see the usual nauseating, extreme partisanship. He has eloquently stated that he doesn't support this. This business of when we are in power, everything the Electoral Commission says we have to support. we must align with them. And then as soon as there's a change of power, there's a flip. The impression is created as though, the Electoral Commission is out to get the opposition. So that's why I commend the majority leader for his posture on some of these reforms. Then also the attempt to change the date. That's a major issue. Why not engage
from December 7 to November 7?
Yeah,
right.
have detailed conversation, because I remember we've been here before. We proposed it. I remember under President Mahama, the MPP at the time opposed it. Now the Electoral Commissioner is bringing this back. Couldn't we have broad consultation? Dr. Farijan,
so based on what did you propose it then?
Dr. Farijan, no, you see, we were saying that the transitional period appears short, and it came out of a lot of.
So if you proposed it then, why don't you accept it now?
No, we're saying that for now, let's have a discussion. Let's build consensus.
But they've had those discussions at IPAC. At a point, they said over 50% of you would subscribe to it for 2024, and others were saying it should go to 2028.
Remember, we were not there.
But you joined recently?
Yes, we've only joined recently, a few days ago. So we're saying that, look, slow down on these matters. The Afarijan approach, which has worked, and we saw a lot of reforms that took place under Dr. Farijan, from opaque ballot boxes to transparent ballot boxes and biometric systems and all of that. Let us have a way of building consensus. When you spring a surprise on the parties, we just hear an announcement out there. We are key stakeholders. This business of even wanting to reduce the voting hours, what's going into that. So a lot of these things that have been tried and tested, that have served us well, they have worked. Why is the Electoral Commissioner? I mean, the budget they brought to Parliament, and look, it costs us so much on elections. For those who do not know, between 700 million and a billion, if you look at the last 2-3 elections. So in those budget demands, you have all of these items, and nobody has said that there is no money or there can be no funding for these items. How much really is an indelible ink compared to disputed elections, which can destabilize our country, and what that will mean, for the larger peace and stability, of the sub-region.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So my honest view on these matters is that the Jean Mensah-led, Bosman Asari-led Electoral Commission should slow down. They should build consensus. They should engage the parties. They should focus on matters that will improve, transparency.
Okay.
That will improve the credibility of our elections, and not these things that really just, stoke the embers and just, creates a certain tension which can be avoided.
All right. I see some of your people from Parliament also getting on. I see my big sister, Kate Addo, watching. Good to know you're actually following the conversation, so that if Okujato he does anything, you can pepper him when he All right. I see a lot of your messages. Should time suffice, we'll try to take a few of them. But very quickly, so there's also the bit about the speech of the Vice President, now flag bearer of the MPP. He talks about scrapping certain levies and taxes, prominent among them the e-levy, taxes on betting, among others, to the tune of about 5.9 billion Ghana cedis. The Guta president, Dr. Joseph Obeng, and you remember the TUC boss, when Mahama came through with his 24-hour economy, he said it was a game changer, and your party stuck to it. Well, guess what? For this bit on taxes, after the vice president was done, Dr. Joseph Obeng, Guta president, said he was excited by what the vice president had said, and that was the way to go. So e-levy and taxes on betting, among others, to go. He says national service will be optional. He says in terms of contracts, there will be transparency. They will be published publicly for public scrutiny, among others. What do you make, fundamentally, of what the vice president had to say? I mean, it goes beyond this, but in a nutshell, what were your takeaways from his bit? And of course, he's also proposing a 24-hour economy based on mobile money interoperability, among others. Quick thoughts.
Yes, so I would like to make the point fundamentally that We have come to a point as a country where I think that we should place more premium on action than just rhetoric, than just talk. When you're vice president, chair of the economic management team, you have...
But you know that thing, what that thing you just mentioned, it's a convention. It's not set in stone. You're a member of the economic management team.
You have...
No, you agree, right? I want you to agree before
you... Agree with what? I don't get your point.
A vice president is a member of the economic management team. Nowhere does it say he is chair. Not in our constitution. It's a convention.
Yes, the convention is that he chairs. The vice president...
The convention is that he's a member. We have documents, I've cited documents pointing to John Dramani Mahama when he was, and it invited him to be a member.
Yeah, but they preside over the meetings. From the vice president at Mills' era to vice president, Aliyu Mahama, they preside over. That has been the
But presiding doesn't necessarily mean they are in charge, right?
It's a convention.
That's what the vice president says.
When did the vice president come to this recognition? When he fired 170 questions to Vice President Misata, he didn't know then that he was just a member. That
he says he's a mate. He's not a driver. He's a mate.
That he was just a mate. He didn't know that. You see how time vindicates, and how with time people fall into their own traps. But back to the more substantive point I want to make is that let us place more premium on action, on track record. I mean, see what we've been achieving in Northtown. With virtually no taxes, little resources. We are not organizing lectures. There's not been a lot of talk and razzmatazz, but we are just getting the job done to ameliorate the plight of our people. I think that we should place more premium on that. So that's the first fundamental point that I want to make, that moving forward, Ghanaians have seen through the talkativeness and a lot of, puffing and huffing, a lot of just hubris, just talk. People want to see...
I get it. Ghanaians are beyond the cosmetics.
Exactly.
But let's talk about the pertinent issues.
They want to see track record. Now, let's come to the matter of taxes, which you want us to focus on. So, I hold in my hands the IMF country report, number 23168, which was issued in May 2023. Now, you had the vice president creating the impression as if all of these taxes and all of that, he is not part of it, he doesn't support it, and he's going to scrap it. If you look at this document, page 2 of the document, this is the very early part of the document. The approval of this agreement is stated here, approved by, and we are told that discussions took place in Accra in September, in Washington, D.C., in October, and in Accra in December 2022. The mission held discussions with Vice President Bawumia, Minister of Finance Kanu Ofori-Atta, Governor of the Central Bank, Ernest Addison, and other senior officials. Then it goes on to list the officials
as members of the economic management
on their part. So the dishonest attempt to create the impression as though he didn't even have discussions with the IMF, he didn't lead the negotiations, he's not part of it. Because we all know that a lot of these taxes and a lot of these, fiscal impositions are from the IMF agreement, which he led, as this IMF document confirms. Now, if you come to page 16 of this document, we are told, the document that confirms that Dr. Bawumia led the discussions and the agreements, we are told at page 16 that the Power Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, recently raised electricity tariffs by close to 30%, which was a prior action. So what Dr. Bawumia's Kanu Ofori-Atta and co. signed up to, before we will get this funding from the IMF, the prior action, what they agreed was that electricity tariffs should go up by 30%. Then it continues, bringing the cumulative increase since mid-2022 to 57% to help reduce the cost recovery gap and limit this year's shortfall to around 2.7% of GDP, offsetting underlying upward pressures from a more depreciated exchange rate. Additional quarterly tariff adjustments will be implemented in 2023 and you know it's been going on already, to compensate for any exchange rate and price movements, and to bring tariffs close to cost recovery levy, while efforts to improve operational efficiency of energy distribution as planned in the ESRP. So, the dishonesty, if you come to page 13 of this agreement, again, the IMF reports that as part of measures to address the challenges with revenue mobilization, there's going to be a removal on all VAT exemptions. Page 13 of the document. So the VAT on ECG, which had been exempted, they agreed. Dr. Bawumia,
He's said that if it is still on the books in 2025, should he become president, he will scrap it.
So why the dishonesty? Why did you sign us up to this?
But he's saying he'll scrap it.
Why did you agree?
Same with the e-levy.
Where was he when we opposed this, even went to court? Remember all the stalemate in parliament?
But it's his administration in power. Did you want him to come out openly and say, I disagree with this fundamentally?
So it's clear that Dr. Bawumia cannot be trusted. He meets with the IMF in secret, imposes these draconian taxes on us, these obnoxious taxes, this hardship on us, this agony, the anguish that we are going through, the suffering that we are going through. He's a man who not too long ago was talking about teachers are suffering, doctors are suffering, nurses are suffering, everybody is suffering. And see what he does in secret. Then he comes out, UPSA, and then is talking as if he's not part of it. I thank God for this IMF document, and I'm glad that the IMF keeps records. So I'm saying that he cannot be trusted. And I am very, very proud of my minority leader, the announcement he put out yesterday on your colleague Evans Mensah's show last night. Yes, that we have decided, as a matter of strategy, that since Dr. Bawumia now agrees with us, we are going to present a private member's motion to have all of these taxes repealed now. Why should we wait? He now agrees.
Why are you trying to force the vice president's hand?
So the
he's
vice
not president.
So the vice president.
He is still the mate.
The vice president.
He's not the driver. He's not the driver.
The vice president who sat in secret with the IMF and approved all of these taxes. They should now. They have an opportunity. We are going to bring the private members bill. They should.
That will say what? That will say what?
That remove the VAT on electricity.
So you're going to provide a private members bill.
Yes.
That says repeal e-levy.
E-levy.
Taxes on betting.
Taxes on betting.
The 10%.
Yes.
VAT on electricity.
Yes. We want to test his sincerity now. We are not going to wait till after the polls because.
So when are you planning on doing this?
This meeting of before Easter, we are going to do that.
I see.
Latest by next week, we are going to be waiting for the speaker's approval.
So you're going to
actually
test,
drafted it.
You are literally going to test
his sincerity,
Dr. Bawumia's resolve, and his sincerity in this matter.
Absolutely.
But okay, let's look at it from this angle.
Because we can't see you approving these things with the IMF in secret. Then you come and stand on public lanterns.
But I'll go back to the fact
you are deceiving.
He's still the mate, not the driver. He's not the president. And he says when he comes to power, if he comes to power, he will actually see to some of this. He said that if the VAT on electricity takes off, should he become president, he will scrap it. He said same for the e-levy.
You know, it is instructive that in this IMF document, they don't even mention the president. They didn't meet with President Akufo-Addo. That's the confidence President Akufo-Addo has.
But that's because it's the vice president who's on the economic management team, not the president.
Good. You see, I said recently that I'm beginning to, for the first time in a long time, pity President Akufo-Addo. He's become so lonely, so abandoned, so jettisoned.
Why? Has he come to you to say that he's lonely?
Oh, look at the treachery. Everybody, look, indeed, the saying is true that success has many fathers, failure is an orphan. His general secretary abandoned him recently. Oh, reshuffle, your people are useless, they're not working. Then the national organizer,
on VAT on electricity.
Yes, VAT, let it go. You're making our work difficult. They distance themselves from him. Then his vice president puts the icing on the cake. Me, I was only a mate, please, don't add me to it. Don't blame me. My EMT is just some small subcommittee of cabinet. A man who not too long ago said that President Mahama has managed this economy for 8 years. First 4 years as chair of the economic management team, and the second 4 years as president. Then he even has the track record of sending 150 questions to Mr. Atta. Suddenly, he's saying that those positions don't matter. So I pity President Akufo-Addo because the output is so abysmal, the performance is so shambolic. All his people he had confidence in, asked them to go and negotiate with the IMF, to lead everything. They've all abandoned him. Poor old president. He hasn't even left yet. I mean, can you imagine? He is still president.
But that is normal in
imagine,
a way. It is normal
imagine
in a way,
what
right?
will happen to him.
It is normal in a way when you have a flag bearer elected.
I've never seen this.
You cede certain
I've never
powers.
seen this. I never saw Professor Mills do this to Rawlings. Actually, the accusation, which even the then opposition...
I do remember. That Rawlings was going to...
said that you consult Rawlings 24/7, that he's a puppet, that you control him. They said they were too close.
But it was back then, it was also because of the temperament.
What we are seeing
you cannot run away from the fact that Rawlings was very charismatic.
What we are seeing
and
now...
Atta Mills had a very calm demeanor.
It's so strange. It's so bizarre. I mean...
So in simple terms, you don't trust Dr. Bawumia?
He cannot be trusted. We've known already, even before all of this dishonesty is being exposed, that you can't take him. You remember all the things.
So within this meeting of Parliament, you say by next week, right?
Yes.
Private members bill to the effect that government, Dr. Bawumia, should go ahead.
Now Dr. Bawumia agrees with us, so we want to test your sincerity and your resolve. All right. Why kill the people now? Let them
so I just
suffer.
want a clear list of the taxes.
Yes.
E-levy.
E-levy will be on the list.
ECG, 15%, VAT on electricity.
Which some have actually
betting tax.
21.9%.
Betting tax. What else?
Yes, the emissions levy.
The eco-levy, the emissions levy.
Yes. Okay. It's all going to be there.
All four of them are going to be in there.
Yes.
All right. Let's make tracks.
We'll test their resolve.
Very quickly though, optional national service and then public scrutiny of contracts. 1 minute. What can you give me on that?
So, the national service part of his submission is not well thought through. We should rather strengthen national service. I even want to, if you look at the national service law, the first 6 months should even have been compulsory military training. And I think that we should go to that. If you have a situation as we have now, where the unemployment rate is at an all-time high, according to the population housing census, about 13.6%, almost 14%. You need to, national service serves as an employment absorption opportunity. I'm getting the sense that what Bawumia is doing really is that he wants to save national resources. He doesn't want to pay national service people. But you see, this is a government that has a reputation.
But you're pushing them into companies. The companies will pay them.
Of wasting money. Even where they carry out savings, they will spend it on themselves. You know, if it's not on chartered travels, it will be on, fanciful projects, like the President's Cathedral. So it doesn't make sense to me. When you have high unemployment, the National Service Scheme, it helps to introduce, look, a lot of employers still demand work experience. They want to be sure that you've had some training, some grooming, some nurturing in the corporate environment. So it is not well thought out. Let's keep the national service. It helps to absorb, soak up the pressure. And there are many people who tell you that the jobs that they find themselves in now is national service that gave them the opportunity. So after national service, when employers are impressed, they then retain them.
But the same could be said for, instead of going through the service, if an institution, I know those who way back went to the Unilevers and the rest and the other big shots today. It's the same thing. So if you can get in there and still learn the ropes while you're there,
but how do you get in there? When there is a law being implemented that is compulsory, you must have room for national service.
So he's saying he wants to make it optional. That's what he's saying.
No, it won't work.
Public scrutiny of contracts.
It's not in the interest of the youth.
Public scrutiny of contracts.
Yes.
Is it feasible? Is it doable?
It should have been done long ago.
Right.
It should have been done long ago. And tomorrow I'll be putting out some interesting exposés.
Tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow.
On what specifically?
On why the government hasn't done this. It should have been done long ago.
So this expose, what will it border on?
It will border on. It will be about what people are getting away with the lack of scrutiny of contracts, and people
Will a future NDC government be willing to go down that road?
Who are close to certain key persons in this government, and you see how we are not getting value for money, how this country is being raped.
So others may be doing it. Would a future NDC government be willing to go down that same road?
Yeah, it has to be done.
Public scrutiny of contracts.
It has to be done. It has to be done. Everything must
If you're sole sourcing, we know.
Yes.
Whatever it is,
exactly,
we know.
Exactly. It has to be done. It has to be done. And you see, it is a shame that the people who said that, and President Akufo-Addo put out a tweet, Dr. Bawumia did same, when they were campaigning, and said that, look, with too much sole sourcing or single sourcing in this country, that era is coming to an end. They come to power, and recently I intercepted all the procurements that this Bank of Ghana era under Dr. Addison has done. Will you believe that not one of their procurements have been competitive? Not one.
How many procurements are we looking at?
Single source.
About how many procurements are we looking at?
Single source procurements. About 20. And all of them
sole sourced.
All of them sole sourced, including the Bank of Ghana project.
Building, the $250 million.
Yes, we started at $81 million. You know, restrictive tendering and single sourcing. That's all they are doing.
Is there not something
then
against that when it comes to a project that balloons by over 60%?
Yes, it's a violation of the law. You should have, re-awarded the whole thing, cancelled that whole, tender. That's what the law says. They didn't respect it. So, look, many people are going to face the music when the NDC comes to power. People have questions to answer. Look, there's so many people who
wait till you get there. Wait till you are in power, and wait till you do it, because you parliamentarians and presidential candidates, you have the tendency of doing this, but when you get there, it's a different ball game. They say, "Dukadaya," you are all the same, and you make one promise, we'll come and we'll imprison and we'll see nothing. So get there and do it, and then maybe that is if you get there.
Yeah,
then maybe we can take you.
No problem. No problem. But you see, when you make the statement that all the politicians are the same, I really take a strong exception to that.
But there's ample proof to that.
We are not all the same.
There's ample proof.
We are not all the same.
But let's make tracks.
Just assess us based on our track record, on what we are doing.
In the next few minutes, I really have to run. I've already. But I just wanted you to, at least this goes back to Parliament, the anti-gay bill was the latest on it, GRA and SML, and all this in some 2 minutes. The National Cathedral. If there are any new developments you can share with us.
Okay.
So the GRA, they asked you for an apology at some point. You never got to that.
Yes. So let me begin with the GRA if you want to.
So it must be really bite-sized, eh?
Yes. So the GRA, I responded that they won't get an apology. Everything I put out.
I saw that. Yes. I saw that response.
Yes. Everything I put out was factual. The fact of the matter is that at the time that they announced that it was going to be a probe, the Commissioner General had long absconded. What the GRA...
We are still looking forward to the KPMG report.
Yes.
And then Parliament is supposed to get...
Yes, and Parliament will also be probing that.
When will this happen?
Any month from now it's going to start. The Finance Committee will be doing that any month from now.
All right. Anti-gay bill.
And then I must add on GRA that this GRA chap is in office illegally. And you
mean Reverend Dr. Amishadai is in office illegally?
Illegally.
Because the contract was not extended.
It doesn't have a contract, and the earlier he's booted out, the better. And you stop signing all these illegal contracts. So we're looking forward to the probe in Parliament. Let me add that on the matter to do with the National Cathedral, many people probably have forgotten that the President promised us and promised the Almighty that the project will be commissioned on the 6th of March this year. It's a few weeks away. The project remains abandoned, and it was bound to face all of these, if you like, horrible outcome because of the massive diversions that took place. I mean, the 339 million Ghana cedis of our taxes. First of all, we were told that taxpayer funds would not be used. Don't forget that. They said that this will be a private initiative led by the churches and the president's personal donations, only for a discovery to be made by me that apparently on the blind side of Parliament, Ken Ofori-Atta, in collusion with the president, they were siphoning public funds for this project. And when we had a vote of censure committee and we asked them for the full breakdown of releases, 339 million. And that 339 million, David Ajayi alone took 130 million. It doesn't happen anywhere in project management. I mean, it defies industry standards. It doesn't happen anywhere. 339 million. One man takes 130 million.
Okay.
Kari Summers is keeping $6 million in the States. When I went after him, I found out that, look, he's no CEO of any Nehemiah group. He's in some ramshackled warehouse, you know. I mean, it's incredible, you know. And then you have the secretary, the double identity scandal that came up.
Okay.
You don't know.
Reverend Kusibwati. All right.
Or Kwabena Edu-Jemfi.
Right.
You know, it's just a mess.
Auntie Gabriel, when can we expect something?
I'm not surprised that
we have to go.
Key prominent clergymen have left the board. The latest being Archbishop Duncan Williams and Reverend Isud Anaba. I'm glad that they have.
The Auntie Gabriel, when can we expect anything? Let's go. We have to go.
The integrity. Expect it's possible that by Friday it can be passed this week. It's really because a lot of the work has been done. And it's really possible that by Friday it can be passed. And then I'm surprised. I must be honest with you that the vice president hasn't said a word about it. We don't know his position on this matter. This is a very important matter. And this is somebody who's been caught on tape claiming to be, you know, such, you know, an Islamic cleric and giant, and he's coming for Muslims, and yet we can't take his view about such
we're
an
going
important
now.
piece of
I'll just take.
It's disappointing.
This one comment from an academic, a former vice chancellor. He sent in some messages. He says, "What happened to the personal and institutional contributions and donations? UTAG and of various campuses which I belong to made significant contributions." I told him that you had mentioned that UGBS and others, I mean the MEPE project. And he also says, okay, so maybe
and I think we also have to clarify that the list I put out was those who supported the building project. Of course, there are more than 200 institutions, corporate Ghana foundations who came in to support with relief items, food, you know, clothing, blankets.
All right, so all of those are in there.
That's a different.
I'll not mention his name, but he says you are progressive and he likes you. That's what he says. Thank you very much for joining us for breakfast this morning. And this has been the Member of Parliament in the studio with us, Member of Parliament for North Tong, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, discussing issues of national scope with us. But do stay with us because the Save Ghana football demonstration is happening today. Are you going to join the sports people?
Yes, I'll be at the front precincts of Parliament to receive the petition. I'm in full support.
You will be receiving the petition?
The petition, yes. And because I wanted to join them earlier, but they said they're going to present a petition to Parliament. So I'll join the Speaker to receive the petition. Remember that I intercepted the documents, the $8.5 million budget. I mean, if you see how much is going into football, and yet we don't have even FIFA standard pitches. I mean, there's no sports policy. Ghana football is just in a mess.
All right.
And we cannot accept this. So
thank you.
I fully endorse the Save Ghana demonstration, and we'll be there to receive the petition.
All right. So the Save Ghana football demonstration, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa says he will be at the precincts of Parliament to actually accept the petition. We have more on that, including AM business, all of that coming your way. Still to come on the AM show. Do stay.
Welcome back on the show. It's still the AM show right here on Joy News, your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. That was Benjamin Akapo a few moments ago interacting with MP for South Tong, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. Yes, so now today we've got AM Business, courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. You know, Ghana's fintech industry has enormous potential to be a major contributor to the country's GDP. Now, in spite of the enviable feat attained in Ghana's drive to a cashless economy, stakeholders within the sector want more investments to expand operations within the space. Here's AM Business.
This fintech landscape largely covers the banking and financial services sector, insurance, telecommunications, and the non-bank financial services. Ghana has had one of the most promising and scalable fintech ecosystem in Africa since the emergence and popularization of the industry sometime in 2008.
I don't have to explain what transferring money digitally is. I'm just explaining what my solution is to your problem. You know, so for us, our education starts with designing solutions that people understand, because it is a product that they need. It's a product that has value. So that's the micro side of it. But I think most of you, I'm using a lot of micro and macro. Oh yeah. On the macro side of it, we are making sure that our CSR supports young people, you know, because it all begins with young people. Young people are naturally digital natives, and so we're seeing how through coding lessons we can impart a lot of the knowledge we have, the know-how we have. So we have a CSR program that involves young students in schools, you know, coding for secondary schools, and we're looking for the schools that need it the most. Those are the ways we want to impart our knowledge. We're the oldest fintech company in Ghana. So before fintech became a buzzword that everyone is using, we were here. But even beyond being a fintech company, I always like to say we're more of a technology company. Fintech normally just cocoons it into one space of payments, you know, but we are more than that. We actually add value, provide solutions, create solutions, and then we can either give it to you or append our payment systems.
Ghana is one of Africa's rapidly growing financial technology and mobile money markets.
We're at a time of the technology revolution. You know, there have been previous industrial revolutions, you know. This industrial revolutions is the Internet of Things, which means that you and I, no matter what educational background we have, no matter what schools we go, what we have in our head is as potent as anywhere else in the world, you know. And before you even start with looking at the GDP through things that are produced, this is where it starts from, the ideas, you know. And I think fintech and technology, you look at the top 10 of the most wealthiest people in the world, about 7 or 8 of them are all technology people. You know, the rest are 2 or 3, I think Louis Vuitton, number 2 or something of that sort, then Warren Buffett, number 5, diversified. Besides that, it's all Amazon, Tesla, Google, Microsoft, Facebook. That's your top 10. You go to your top 20, the case doesn't change that much. You know, so if you're talking of how we contribute to economic growth, I think it's by ensuring that we invest like Israel has done. There's more unicorns in Israel than anywhere else. And you look at the population of Israel.
The fintech industry has been spurred on by the government's Digital Ghana agenda. This initiative primarily targets the country's financial services sector, which was predominantly a cash-based, person-to-person, contact-based economy, to become a cashless, contactless digital economy with the principal aim of achieving financial inclusion and stability.
What are the building blocks on which the fintech ecosystem is built? It's based on disruption. So when you stop disrupting, it's like a fish who is swimming with the current of the sea. You know, a fish who swims with the water is dead. Fishes always have to be swimming against. That is what we as fintechs, as tech companies, have to be thinking of.
It seems fintech is now more or less, as you said, a household name now. What are some of the challenges you guys within this space are experiencing, or for your particular firm, what have been some of the challenges you guys have been experiencing?
So I think, as you're saying, is when anything becomes a buzzword, it means there's a lot of companies within the same space, within the same arena. There's a lot of people offering the same services. So on the top of my head, or at face value, you say that the main problem that is facing fintechs now is the fact that maybe there's no new innovations coming out. That's the first thing. But beyond that, you can also say that it's a crowded marketplace.
The fintech space in Ghana has undergone various stages of evolution. The Sika card was first introduced in Ghana in 1997, a decade before the introduction of the first ever mobile money services in 2008 by MTN Ghana. Since then, the ubiquity of mobile phones coupled with the ready access to internet broadband services has tremendously accelerated the growth of the industry in Ghana, with other telecommunication companies modeling their own version of mobile money products to foster digital or electronic payment systems in Ghana.
If I'm paying 2 cedis for a transaction and the transaction is within 5 minutes, I'd rather that than taking a car and going to 37. I burn fuel, I lose time. You as an economic student, opportunity costs. You know, what you could have been doing, you've lost that time, which you could have been making money to do. So is that worth the 2 cedis? Is that worth the 3 cedis? So if a surcharge is being put on to ensure that those rails are active or is able to provide additional services to the community, why not?
I'll come to the bit with respect to taxes, but let's now look at the regulatory framework in our part of the world. How is it like?
The gentleman in charge of the FinTech office in Bank of Ghana, I must admit, is doing an amazing job. His name is Kwame Opon. He's doing a phenomenal job where he is, because I like to say that his area is one of the most dynamic and fast-changing areas. So you always have to be on your toes because there's new things happening. And I think it's about finding that equilibrium between regulation and innovation. And I think we in that space are glad that we have someone like him who is able to find that balance. You see, because just because you want to be innovative doesn't mean you have to relax regulation.
In spite of the enviable feats attained in Ghana's drive to a cashless economy through its many fintech initiatives and growth patterns, the sector is still experiencing a dearth in new innovations emanating from local innovators in order to keep abreast with the rapid pace of technological advancement. The country's fintech arena is largely fixated on digital payment systems to the neglect of other potentially vibrant areas of fintech, which can tremendously bolster the financial inclusion agenda and ensure scalability of the industry.
I've lived in places where I've seen what taxes have been able to do. You know, they've been able to do some good things. You know, so I understand where tax is coming from. They said there's 2 certain things in life: death and taxes. You know, so taxes will always come. It's tough on us. Yeah, it's tough on us, especially within this fintech space. It's tough on us. As I think it's tough on every Ghanaian. Yeah, whatever company you're doing, unless the demand for your product is completely inelastic. You know, I'm using a lot of your economic terms. Yeah, I'm taking you back. Yeah, unless it is, you know, you feel the pinch. Yeah, no one wants to. But I think with everything, James, I think the important things in life is finding equilibrium. You know, so tax can be a force for good, but overtaxing, just like overfishing depletes fish stock. You know.
But do you guys feel you are being overtaxed in any area?
I think we're being adequately taxed, and I know we're on TV, so I have to watch my words. I think no one wants to pay tax, a lot of tax, you know. So I think for now we are okay, you know. Any more taxes, and I think I'll ask you to come for another interview. But for now, I think we're being able to handle it. But we wish that the powers that be recognize our role in job creation and our role in being able to drive the economy. You know, where we sit with innovation, we are at a very important point in our history.
Wherever you find yourself, digitization and all that, working with financial institutions, banks, the savings and loans, and the other financial institutions, how has it been? Is it challenging, or it's been seamless working with some of these financial institutions?
I find that it's been very seamless, and I think the best example I give it, I find it to be complementary. You know, there's some goods that work well together, you know, like Gary and sugar, like Gary, sugar and milk, you know, they're all complementary. Like a television and a VCR, they complement each other. On their own, they might be able to do something. But when you put them together, they are able to do much more than what they do individually. So I think what the banks realized early on was what we bring, that innovation we bring to be able to reach the customer, the unbanked population, either the unbanked or underbanked populations. And I think that is where we've come in. So I think the banks very early on recognize what we bring to the table.
According to the Bank of Ghana, as at December 2022, there were a total of 699,592 registered mobile money agents, out of which 505,122 agents were active, as well as 55.3 million registered mobile money customers, of which 20.4 million were active users. The statistics further showed that the total volume of mobile money transactions recorded during the period was approximately 488.2 million transactions, valued at approximately 122.1 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent to $9.5 billion US.
You know, artificial intelligence still requires people to apply it. You know, so what will happen is that there's some specialized fields, you know, that artificial intelligence can work in, you know. So a lot of time people say, oh, we're going to lose our jobs. Yeah, there's a large part of the population who are going to probably lose their jobs, but this creates an opportunity for them to upscale, you know, to do what artificial intelligence can do, because you use some products of artificial intelligence, you read through it, and you still have to apply some type of knowledge. It's artificial. You know, so anything is intelligence, but it's artificial. It's not the real thing, you know. So it creates an opportunity for people. You can say that the cameraman here that we have, as good as he is, at some point it will be robots who will be doing the job. Yeah, robots will be doing the job, but what is the first thing that he did when he came here? He looked at the surroundings, he put things in the background to break it, he checked that there were no things lying around so that it looks good. A robotic camera can be there, but it can't do what he did by thinking outside the box and seeing how he applies it. The robotic camera will just shoot whatever you give it, you know. So the artificial intelligence still requires people to man it, you know, and that's where we have to realize where the world is going and start being trained in those areas where there's gaps in artificial intelligence.
There seems to be some gap when it comes to education on fintech. Exactly. So I'm just asking, what are you guys doing, and not just e-transact, but generally, when you guys meet, what are some of the things you guys do talk about with respect to education and other marketing aspects too?
So I think there's two things there. So I think what we focus more is we focus more on the products and the services that we can give. You know, they have a saying that the proof is in the pudding, which means that until you taste the pudding, you will not know how it is. It might look beautiful, but it tastes bitter. For us, whatever name you place on it, whether fintech, tech, or any insurtech, regtech, whatever name you place on it, the most important thing is how does it contribute to people's lives. And I think if you're able to answer that question with specific solutions, specific products and services that add value to people's life, that's the first way of educating them.
Research by Boston Consulting Group in 2020 ranked Ghana as the world's third highest country for mobile money payment patronage, behind China and Kenya. James Eshen's report for Joy Business.
Welcome back. It is the AM show on Joy News. Now, we know that as of this morning, 9 a.m., a few minutes ago, some football lovers and ordinary Ghanaians are gathering to demonstrate on the issue of the declining state of Ghana's football prowess. we're opening the phone lines anyway, so you can join me in this conversation. The numbers are on your screens. Join me, call in, and let's talk about what's happening in the country currently, whether it's Valentine's, whether it's the football demonstration, Save Ghana football demonstration, or whether it's your take on the interview with Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa with Benjamin Akakpo. But there are a number of reasons why this football demonstration is steaming to become something that lots of Ghanaians want to participate in. Ghana used to be giants in the football world. And, we've seen our glory days. And now it appears that when it comes to football, nothing is going right. So some journalists have decided that aside writing and talking about it on air, it's time now for us to do something, to make their voices heard by the people who have power. What you're seeing right now are live images from the Opera Square instead, where we see thousands, hundreds of people gathering to demonstrate, to let the people in power hear our voices when it comes to the nation's football. So what are your thoughts this morning? Call and let's have a conversation. But another interesting thing that we have Kojo on the line. Kojo, good morning to you.
Good morning.
What are your thoughts? Share with me.
Yes, my concern has to do with our GFA. I would have urged the government to dissolve even the board that he constituted to look for our new coach. They contributed in our failure. So we need an independent body to search for this new coach for us. That's my thought. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So like I was saying, the Save Ghana football demonstration is on. They're starting from Obra Sports and they're heading to the Jubilee House to let the people in power hear their voices. Among so many other reasons why they're doing this, we can cite the declining state of football, lack of player development. We talk about brain drain a lot of the times, but it appears it's not only in the areas of health and, education. Our footballers want to get out of the country to go and play, and they don't go far. Some of them are here in Libya, in other African countries, because of better conditions of service. Imagine taking 30,000 Ghana cedis as winning prize or winning bonus in the Ghana Premier League. And these and so many other issues, which is why not just sports journalists, but Ghanaians, because this is a passion of the nation. We love football. We have Yaro on the line. Good morning, Yaro.
Yeah, morning, madam. I said I support the demonstrators, those who are going demonstration. Because Ghana football, we are investing on the football, but nothing good come out. You see, we are suffering. So because we give our heart to the football, but if we joke, they will let you die one day. Thank you. So I support those who are going to demonstration. If I were there, I would join them.
Thank you so much. You didn't sound very happy, and I don't think that anyone is excited about the state of football, especially on the back of our exits from the just ended AFCON. We played only 3 matches. Imagine that. The once giants of Africa in terms of Ghana football. And it was the same thing in Egypt. Every time we go to a tournament, it's as if we do what we can and we come back. And most of these sports journalists are saying that the problem is not with the players themselves, or it's not about the football. It's about the politicians who are sitting at the helm of affairs. They've decided to politicize football, and they're, playing games with it instead of letting the game itself play. And so it's time for us to let our voices be heard so that whatever needs to be done, restructuring. We have another caller on the line, Bosom in Kwanta. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Mumuna Abdullah from Bosom Kwanta.
Okay, Mumuni from Bosom in Kwanta. What are your thoughts this morning?
My thought is Ghana football has declined for so many years now. And it's all as a result of our inability to develop grassroots football. We have misplaced priorities. I don't know why the GFA will buy football boots and then football for Division 1 class and then Premier class. That are professional teams. While the juvenile class, the young ones need football to grow. But they are not doing it. Secondly, the government has created 6 more regions. There's no RFA office in any of the regional capitals so that it will boost football development. They are all still under the old regions. From Bosunkontel to Takoradi is 10 hours. So how can one travel to Bosunkontel to Takoradi when it comes to football matters? So please, we want government, the GFA should come and then establish RFA, Regional Football Association offices at the new created regions so that it will boost football development. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts this morning. But it's not only the football situation. You can also share your thoughts on how you plan to spend Valentine's Day, today, 14th of February, if you believe in spending Valentine's Day, and everything else happening on our current affairs in the country. We have another call on the line. Haruna, good morning to you.
Good morning, madam. Good morning to your listeners and then my MP, Honorable Alassane Tampoli. Hello?
Yes, I can hear. Go ahead, Haruna.
I said I'm greeting my MP, Honorable Alassane Tampoli.
Right.
And then what I have to say about the interview with Ablakwa.
Right.
I think Ablakwa should not be telling us if they come to power what they want to do. They were in government before. What I want him to remember, they did nothing about what they were calling, the names that they were calling Kufuor and then his minister. So you should know that Ghanaians will never allow them to come back to power because they know what they did to the people of good people of Ghana. And not to forget of what they did. They've forgotten that the same John Mahama that they are praising. He did a lot, including the Airbus scandals. Everybody knows it. And then Joy News himself review what we never know about Manasseh Azure, bringing the fourth issue. So these people, what they are saying, I like what Benjamin asked him about the sources of the money that he gets to fund the burden that they are doing. So he said, his personal contribution was 30%. Where did he get that money? So these things, I would just say that they should stop the 7 hours. They are just making noise. So, and then the Ghana football. Please, I think my problem with Ghanaians is that when the problems start coming, we don't start talking about it. Our biggest problem is this man, Anas Armiel. Because GFA was doing well. And he brought him down. I'm talking about Kosina Nyanteti, the former president.
What situation or evidence do you have to back that claim that the football was doing well before that expose by Anas? What are you basing that
it was doing
claim
well
on?
by then? It means that the work that he was putting in place, he was not just as a president, but he made sure that he take Ghana name higher. When was the last time we have a Ghanaian in the what's the name? African whatever it is, I forgot their council. Representative over there, the CAF. It was GFA who was the next to the president of CAF. So it tells us that the man knew what he was doing. And because of that, the world had respect for us. Now look at the way the referees are handling us. Can you remember our first game in the AFCON? What happened? The first game, we had penalty twice, but the referee did not mind us. Because Army Amas had bribed the referees to make them look that they are corrupt. But to forgetting that us, we are all human people. Madam, if I come and give you 1,000 Ghana cedis, just between I and you, Madam, let's speak the truth. At least, if I didn't show anything like hatred about it or plan to pull you down, you take. Because we are all human beings.
don't speak for me. You continue with your opinion, but yeah.
I'm sorry for using you as example.
All right,
I'm
go ahead.
talking about me. If like somebody genuinely giving me money and I don't have any suspect, I will take. So in that case, if you are going to use this kind of things, I mean, to blackmail people and then, I mean, destroy the football. The Ghanaians doesn't think, they shouldn't think that it's just recently that problem has started. It started from Army of Anas exposure. And I don't know, I wanted to enter to others, but let me give the other people a chance to also contribute.
Thank you so much for contributing to the situation in the country, from the football stories to politics, where he spoke briefly about Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. But what do you remember from the time that Ghana was a great football giant? You know, when we talk about football and even boxing, it's not just football, it's sports. There's been a huge decline in our performance in sports. There was a time when names like Bukom Bank, Stephen Appiah's time, Asamoah Gyan's time, when Ghana football was, a name to contend with. Now, there's nothing. And so people are saying that we should try and, let our voices be heard so that those who have power can do something about it for us. The numbers are on your screen, 030-2211-691. Call in and join in the conversation. You can also go on our social media platforms on Joy. Okay, we have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, madam.
Share your thoughts with me.
Yeah. I'm Nyasha Peter calling from Kotisa Taflau.
Hi, Peter. Go ahead.
Yeah, my greetings to Honorable Jifa Abla, Jifa Gumashi, and the General Secretary of the great NDC, the flag bearer. Madam, the mess that we are in right now, under the current administration led by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and his Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, we haven't witnessed this in our country before. Just imagine how things just went on within 7 years. Just imagine how the state of the country is. Now today, the Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who is the current leader of the MPP as a flag bearer, is telling us he's just a mate. So do we expect the mate to be given a mandate who is not clearly of his visions or his duty to do as a mate? He is just at the station shouting, Katija. Meanwhile, the Katija is still standing there. John Mahama used only 2 million Ghana cedis to build Sagame housing project, and they refused to open that Sagame housing project for we, the citizens who are suffering. Citizens, Kayayes who are no more using because of digital, Kayayes are no more using headphones. Kayayes can sleep at Sagame housing project there, but they refused to open the room. But just have a look at 4 million Ghana cedis, and Katija is still standing there. And the NDP, with his affiliation, is telling us that John Mahama will never come back and rescue this Ghana. It's a total lie. They are not doing anything. We need a break. The Vice President don't know what exactly he's doing as the head of the police management. We are in this same country. He came out telling us they have the solid team. Madam, where are the solid people? The team that he came to mention out to Ghanaians. Where is those people? They've all run away. Because they themselves, they have messed up with the country. Just imagine. And that John Dramani Mahama, dollar to CD was somewhere for CD. But guess how much is a CD to dollar now? The dollar just breaks unexpectedly.
Right.
So the NDC should don't have anything.
Thank you so much for joining the conversation. But that's all that time will allow us to do today. This has been the AM Show on Joy News. I'm Sweetie Abochi, and I did this with Benjamin Akakpo. Join us again tomorrow for another round of the AM Show. Up next is News Desk with Aisha Ibrahim. Keep watching.